Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back and welcome to the opening round of the GTfusiOn World Team Championship for 2022. And tonight marks round one, of course, of the 6-round calendar, which, of course, these seasons always made up of 6 rounds, and we're kicking it all off tonight over the course of this weekend. And tonight's focus will be on Group B. That's right, the second of our splits. They are one from the very top split of Group A, and we'll bring you all the racing action from Group B according to the times as follows. Those times in British summertime, that's BST or UTC +1. At approximately 6 o'clock this evening, we'll be getting underway with the first of our 2 qualifying sessions. That'll be a 15-minute session to determine our grid order for the purposes of race number 1, which will follow at approximately 6:15 tonight, and that will be a 32-lap race, and by the end of it, we will, of course, have our winners and losers from race number 1. After that, we'll be taking an approximate 10-minute break, which should kick off sometime around 10 to 7, and we'll be back at 7 o'clock this evening for the second of our qualifying sessions, which will be a much shorter session, only 6 minutes in length, only a third of what qualifying 1 is expected to be, and it will be the case that in qualifying 2, it will be go, go, go rather rapidly to determine our grid order for the purposes of race number 2. Race number 2 expected to occur sometime around 6 minutes past 7, and that'll be another 32-lap race to wrap up tonight's proceedings. 2 races tonight on the schedule compared to our standard 4, and the simple reason for that is, given the fact that Gran Turismo 7, our new platform for this series, we've moved away from Gran Turismo Sport, we have made the transition to the latest edition of the Gran Turismo franchise, that is Gran Turismo 7, as provided to us and developed by Polyphony Digital in collaboration with the publisher of Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is the case that we're still learning the ropes and looking at what we can and cannot do in Gran Turismo 7. So it is the case we're only running the 2 races rather than the 4. And then the commentary box for Group B tonight, you have myself, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Brit and Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And tonight's broadcast is being brought to you live via one of 2 media platforms. Firstly, you can tune in via YouTube if you are a YouTube user, and that will be at my personal YouTube channel. That is YouTube channels TX141TX, also known as Paul Walsh on YouTube. Alternatively, if you are a Twitch user, you can tune in via twitch.tv/TX141. But as I say, it is the case that we may be working out some slight technical issues over the course of tonight, given this is the first time that we are broadcasting on the new platform on Gran Turismo 7. So just keep that in mind if there are some delays or some slight inconveniences that we do need to resolve from a technical perspective. But with that, of course, it's great to be back, and we have got a very feisty pool of drivers looking to take to the circuit of choice tonight in Group B. And let's introduce those drivers. Well, we can see here it is the case that we do have our array of drivers, and with the standard ELO ranking system as determined by the pre-season performance testing, and it is the case that right at the top there on an ELO of 1,280 flat, it is GTS 92's P. Ortega there from Team GT Spain. The Spanish driver will be taken to the circuit as our favourite in the lobby based on ELO, and he is not too far behind, matched by GTB's Pipo Oli from Gran Turismo Borderless Esports. Pipo Oli returning for 2022, an infamous driver within the GTB community, of course, and a well-known driver within the GTfusiOn Championships, and it is the case the Belgian driver on an ELO of 1,279.16 will be looking to give it his all tonight, and he will need to, because another GTS 92 driver or GT Spain driver of Aaron 25 will be looking to try and usurp Pipo Oli with that ELO there of 1,279.0. Meanwhile, our 4th place driver in this lobby will be GTS 92, so that's GT Spain's once again, Nico Am19, we'll refer to him as Nico from this point onwards, and the Spanish driver there on 1,278.0 ELO. He'll be looking to go well tonight and looking to make a statement for himself, and I do believe GT Spain a new team in this series, and we look forward to seeing how the drivers get on over the course of the proceedings tonight. As we are continuing to wait for our lobby to be formed, we'll continue to take you through those drivers in the meantime. And we can see our 5th driver there of GT_Keros_Skuns from Team Racing Team Astra. That's Team RTA, the French driver there on an ELO of 1,277.17. And of course, Racing Team Astra, a team and collaboration of drivers who are very well known, very fast set of drivers. And we're expecting great things from Skuns as he takes to the tarmac tonight. EXP's Peepox there from EXP, or the Experienced Motorsport team, the Italian driver on an ELO of 1,276.97. If you're wondering why his name is in red, he is one of our 2 lobby hosts for tonight, so we can expect him to be running and organising things in collaboration with our other host in the bold black text there of GT Texas Style, but more on Texas Style in a brief while. But it is the case that Peepox, of course, from the very experienced team of EXP, and we look forward to seeing how he gets on. Then we do take to the two Prima drives from Prima Esports. Firstly, of Sportland, and they need no introduction. Sportland, of course, an infamous driver in Prima, the Frenchman there, and the predominantly French team, a very strong outfit. And Sportland, while their finest, on an ELO of 1,273.75, and he'll be looking to put in the best possible performances tonight, given the fact that he put in some stellar performances in the 2021 Championship and in other series as well on Gran Turismo Sport. Can he carry that momentum over into Gran Turismo 7? That's the big question. With him is Prima's gear tilt there. And we can see the other Prima Esport driver on an ELO of 1,273.72. It is the case the two drives very nicely matched there in terms of ELO and really forming the second half of Group B's ELO range. With GTD Texas Doyle there, in the number 44 car he'll be in, and the Italian driver from Team GTD, one of our two lobby hosts on an ELO of 1,271.61. And it was the case that Texas Doyle, of course, in the 2021 Championship, putting in some absolutely fantastic performances, particularly at Autopolis in what was round number 5 in the Porsches, and putting in those great performances time and time again, and we'll be looking forward to seeing how he gets on tonight. We then have ERS Bezi 02 there from Team ERS, the Polish driver on an ELO of 1,270.87, and he will be looking to put his marker down with regards to Team ERS, which I believe is a new team to this series as of 2022, and we look forward to seeing how Bezi gets on. And then we have KSZR's Fishka there, and for those of you who tuned in to the 2021 Team versus Team series and 2022 Team versus Team series involving KSZR, GP, and other teams, Fishka will be no stranger to you. And to those who he is a stranger to, a very fast driver, KSZR, the Czech Republic driver there on an ELO of 1,270.0, and he will be looking to assert his name and looking to do well. And the last of our drivers there from GTBE, Supermoy 007, and it is the case the Belgian driver, again, a driver who is much loved within the GTBE community, and indeed a driver much loved up and down the paddock within the GTfusiOn Team World Championship, and he was in 2001 series, of course, and putting in some good performances, and the Belgian on an ELO of 1,268.77, he'll be looking to try and raise his ELO by the end of tonight, as he is our lowest placed driver, but by no least is he going to be a competitor here. It is the case, these ELO rankings just indicative of what we're expecting of our drivers, and that's their ranking pre-season, but it could all change after tonight, given the fact that we do have two fantastic races ahead. Now, that ELO system, of course, keeps our drivers in track in terms of matching drivers up, and you can imagine that our top split, Group A, which is being broadcasted by what is El Loco and I believe Benjix Motors, it is the case that Group A will have the highest ELOs by comparison, and then we go all the way down the train, and the majority of our lobbies occurred yesterday, our Pro-Am lobbies, and that was Group C all the way through to Group P, if I remember correctly, and they have much lower ELOs, and of course, with increasing letters, becomes much lower ELOs by comparison. But we go from our drivers then to the track tonight. We are at the Tsukuba circuit, the 2004 variant at Shimosuma, Ibaraki Prefecture of Japan, and it is the case that this circuit needs little introduction for anybody, whether you're based in Japan or around the world. You'll typically call this the time attack circuit, because this circuit is a circuit which, if you are based in Japan, during a weekday you can come down to this circuit so long as there's not an event active, and it is the case that you can go racing around this circuit free of charge in most cases and put in laps, and it is the big challenge, of course, to set the fastest possible lap at this very small circuit consisting of only 9 corners with a variety of corners, particularly turns 1 through to 5 being the first half of a lap where it's all about nailing medium speed corners into a very slow speed hairpin. In fact, the slowest corner on the circuit, arguably turn number 4 there, and then we have the sweeping run through 5 into 7 where we've got the right into the double left, and then it is another hairpin at turn number 8, which is all about getting on the loud pedal or the accelerator as soon as possible for the run down the back straight into turn 9, the long right hand sweeper that completes the lap. That circuit image provided us by simracingwiki.com. Now, in the Japanese fashion, it will be the case that our drivers will be enjoying the circuit as much as they possibly can, but because it is a very tight circuit, qualifying is going to be ever critical, and we see that at a lot of Japanese circuits in real-world motorsport, but it is the case with regards to our rules. Let's take you through those rules, and it is the case for tonight, our drivers will be taken to the circuit in a single car, and so this will be a one-make round, and it will be the Alpine A110 2017 machine. Of course, the rear-wheel drive mid-engine machinery as provided by the French manufacturer of Alpine, and based off of their machine that they produced back in 1961 through to 1973, and it is the case the Alpine A110, which was known back then. This is a revival of the legendary French machinery, and it is the case that this car now running with a 7-speed dual-clutch semi-automatic transmission, and also with a rather powerful 1.8 litre engine producing over 200 horsepower, and in particular with balance of performance being off here, we can see that our drivers' cars have been restricted to a power output of 238 168 brake horsepower and a weight of 1,114 kilograms. So all of our drivers will need to adhere to that. Tuning is permitted, however, and it is the case that our drivers are allowed to tune their cars as much as possible, and with there being no performance point limit or PP limit, it means that our drivers can add things such as rear spoilers, they can change all the parts and whatnot. The only limitation is that our drivers must run the sports hard compound in both qualifying and race. Whether it be the first qualifying session or the latter one, our drivers must run sports hard tyres in both instances. But as we continue to wait for the final lobby to be set up here, and we are only moments away from going racing, we can also see that in general that mechanical damage has been set to heavy, meaning that drivers must pit to repair damage. Tyre wear has been set to times 19 and fuel depletion to times 9. And that will mean in the races, of course, that we are expecting our drivers to come into the pits to put in fuel in the cars, and well, they're going to have to come into the pits anyway, because as we'll shortly talk about, there is a mandatory pit stop in the racing. But before the racing, we have those qualifying sessions, and the reason why qualifying 1 is longer than qualifying 2 is because qualifying 1 shall see our drivers having 10 laps to set their best possible lap time, and in qualifying 2 the drivers shall have 5 laps to set their best possible lap time. And in the races, the grid order will be set based on the results of the races preceding qualifying sessions. So race 1's grid will be set by qualifying 1's grid, and race 2 by qualifying 2. But then we can see the drivers must complete 1 mandatory pit stop and they may make any further pit stops if required, but there's only the 1 mandatory pit stop in which they will need to take on fuel, and they may opt to change tyres as well. And the race start shall be a grid start with a full start check. Of course, we love doing our starts like that for the simple reason it means that we get those tense runs down into turn number 1, although it is a very short run down into turn number 1 at Tsukuba. Now, we are still waiting for the lobby to be set up at this point, ladies and gentlemen, so we would cut to live pictures, but at this point in time, we are currently in the waiting process to go racing. So give us a brief moment. We will be right back very shortly with the kickoff of qualifying, or at least the formation of the lobby, but we'll let you know as soon as the lobby is in place. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I believe at the moment we are just working our way through some slight technical issues as well. But as we do get these resolved, we will be checking everything out for you. But at this point in time, we are currently in the process of just getting some of the audio in place as well. It does seem as though at this point we are just waiting to try and get the game audio through, but we do have some live pictures now from Group B's lobby, but we're going to get that audio fixed as soon as possible. It does look as though all of our drivers are making their way around right now. We are experiencing some very slight technical issues with regards to audio, but hopefully we'll get those through as soon as we possibly can. But as soon as we do, we will let you know. But we don't seem to have any audio at this moment. We will be right back very shortly with that audio, hopefully. I'll be right back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we have resolved those technical issues. If you're wondering what had happened, essentially, we have just discovered that for some reason in Gran Turismo 7, it does seem as though that the spectator audio has been tied to the menu audio. So as a result, we do have to have the menu sound effects active, and that does mean that you will every so often hear a little beep or a little bit of a dial tone in the background, but that's where we're just adjusting some of the cameras. It does seem as though we are lacking a few of the options that we typically associate with a spectator view, but we're going to work through them as best as we possibly can. Now, as our drivers are waiting to go racing at the moment, we're just going to try and get a little bit more audio for you there. But all of our drivers are in the pit lane at the moment, and because of the limitations on lobbies, we are having to do things a little bit differently from how we normally would. Now, what we mean by this is that what you're going to see is that all of our drivers right now are parked in the pit lane at Tsukuba, and this means they're essentially waiting for the go-ahead. They will be asked to declare that they are ready to go racing, and once they have declared, they will all make their way out on circuit. All of our drivers in the lobby, they'll make their way out on circuit for the purposes of qualifying one, where it will be those 10 laps around the circuit, and come the end of those 10 laps, all of our drivers are expected to pull over in sector 1, and then it will be to the lobby host to essentially make sure that everybody has registered a lap, and then we end up going racing, because we don't have dedicated qualifying sessions at the moment in Gran Turismo 7, which is a bit of a limitation. So we have to do it in this, essentially what is a free practice session, where all of our drivers go round the circuit and do those 10 laps. And by the end of it, we will have a timing sheet where we see our best possible laps being achieved. And of course, whoever's got the fastest time will line up on pole, and the slowest time lines up at the back of the field. Sounds a little bit complicated, but it will work out quite simply in practice. I probably haven't explained it too well compared to how I could explain it, but yes, it is the case. We are working around the limitations here. As we can see, so many of you tuning in the live stream chat there, whether you're tuning in via, not Facebook, my apologies, tuning in via YouTube, alternatively Twitch. It's great to see you all, and let's say hello to you all from start to finish then. The YouTube chat, we do have GMP, we've also got their GTKRS and Mr. Mazur. We do also have in Twitch chat there Sir Bottlejob. We've also got GTKRS Jerome. We've also got Kosiek. We've also got there what I believe is Pierre Chatura. Good to see you guys. We've also got Pepsi GT, who's cheering on GTBE. We also have there Paolo G, who is cheering on GTD's Texas Doyle, that is, who we can see here parked up in the pit lane at the rear of the pit lane. We've also got there GTB's Mookie. Also, I believe we may have Corey GT35. Good evening to you all tuning in. And if some of you guys and girls are tuning in right now and you haven't said hello in either the Twitch or the YouTube chat, feel free to say hello. Do not be shy. Feel free to say hi. We don't bite here, and it is the case we're all here looking forward to some fantastic racing. And, well, just to give you a little bit of backstory, when it was the case that Gran Turismo 7 was released, our organisers, a combination of individuals, including Pierre Chateau himself, and also a number of individuals, had to spend a tireless number of hours, even days, exploring what was possible and what was not possible with the lobbies. And they have found that this is the best way forward, where we are going to be racing these two races with the rather oddball qualifying sessions, where essentially it's just a practice session of an X number of laps, and all our drivers have to put in the best possible time over those laps. They put in a lot of work to make sure that we can go ahead with GT Fusion at 2022. And as GT7 is updated, we're hoping that more features are added back into the lobbies, and we can do things much more like how we used to on Gran Turismo Sport. But of course, we're moving forward with the times, and we are now only moments away from going into qualifying 1 here at Tsukuba in Group B. We are sitting, we're getting a wait call for Nico. I believe Nico is having some technical issues right now, as we do say hello to Igor Piaski there, and good to see you, Igor, in the YouTube chat. And we are just waiting at the moment on Nico M19 from GT Spain. Now, we have got all of our drivers' online lobby IDs. They will be on the timing sheets and above the cars. We can have drivers' nicknames above, where our drivers may use their actual names rather than their online lobby IDs, but we're sticking with lobby IDs and indeed their online IDs for the simple reasons that way you can see who clearly is who, because some drivers may be running slightly different names than what you're used to as part of their nickname. But we are just waiting right now for one more driver to join us, and that is GTS92 Nico M19 from GT Spain. The Spaniard's having some slight technical issues, but I think we will be going racing within the next 5 minutes if it doesn't work out. But a little bit about why we chose the Alpine, in particular the Alpine A110. It is in tribute to Esteban Ocon. Many of you will know of Esteban Ocon as a Formula 1 driver who drove for what was at the time, I believe, the remnant of Force India, so turning it into Aston Martin Racing stroke Alpine BWT. And it is the case that he's also an ambassador for the Gran Turismo franchise, Esteban Ocon is, and as a result we thought we'd do this tribute to Esteban Ocon with the arrival of Gran Turismo 7, with the fact that he's so closely affiliated with Gran Turismo, and also to an extent Alpine as manufacturer. Esteban Ocon, of course, being a Frenchman, it is the case that Alpine, being a French manufacturer, put 2 and 2 together, and well, you've got that natural formation between the two of them. But as we continue to wait here, it is the case all of our drivers itching to go racing, and well, we're just waiting in that pit lane at this point in time. Now, of course, with Gran Turismo 7 arriving, we do have dynamic weather now. It is the case that we do not have the flat, basic, unchangeable weather that we saw all the way back in GT Sport. And you can see that in the top right corner of your screen, in the fact that we do have a wind direction of 3.2 meters per second blowing in from the east. It's blowing slightly off the dedicated west, and we can see that Nico am having those technical difficulties as he leaves the lobby, and he's the one we're waiting on at the moment. And as we continue to wait here, in this case all our drivers are raring to go, and well, it will be 10 laps of qualifying when we do get going. 11 out of our 12 drivers in here right now, but everybody just waiting patiently, and I think just burning a little bit of fuel out the cars in the meantime before they give them that thumbs up. But of course, whilst they're waiting, they can burn some fuel out of the car, and we do say hello there to Pablo ZC76 and also Noxo TV in the YouTube chat. We've also got Triple X Driver 16 in the Twitch chat there, cheering on Fishka, as we do look to Fishka here in P9. And we also see there that Noxo TV is cheering on Pipo. He's cheering on Pipo Ollie, and cheering on the Belgian drivers in particular. And we can see there Pipo Ollie just waiting to go racing for GTBE. We can also see there Pablo ZC76 cheering on GTD drivers, so particularly Texas Doyle. And well, where is Texas Doyle here, you ask? We believe he's a bit further up the road. Yep, there he is. He's currently parked in the pit lane and waiting to go as well. Indeed, all the drivers bar one are waiting right now, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, we've had a driver go out of the pits here, and well, I think that may be a little bit of an erroneous release. Yep, they've jumped back to the pits. All the drivers do have to wait as per the procedure. And well, where's Fishka, I hear you ask? Well, Fishka is currently the Czech Republic driver parked up here, and well, he'll be in a very distinctive black, orange and pink purple livery, as you'll see very shortly for KSZR GP. Of course, a mixture of liveries here. And do keep in mind as well, because this is a Team World Championship, well, what does that exactly mean? Well, each driver will score points in their respective lobby over the course of what is the round. So it will be the case that the drivers from, say, a team such as Prima Esport, they will have drivers up to, if I remember correctly, it's up to 20 drivers they can feature in all the lobbies. They're not allowed to make up a whole lobby of their own drivers, of course. That would be a little bit unfair. But it is the case the team can enter up to 20 drivers, and it's the drivers up to a certain cut-off point, and if I remember correctly, it's their top 8 scorers who will be considered for points going into the next round of the championship. So after round 1, the top 8 performers in the team of drivers will take their points through to round number 2. Every other driver, their points will be discounted. They won't count for anything, and they will just move on to round number 2 as well. And that's how we do have the championship, if you will. But we are currently checking in with regards to what is our organisers here, and we are hearing that there are some continued technical issues with regards to what is Nico trying to join the lobby. I think we are getting the call, however, to potentially push forward in a short while. Of course, a lot of our drivers absolutely itching to go racing here, but we are just waiting at this point in time, and I believe right now it is the case, as we do just double check. Of course, you can't see this on camera, but we are just checking in with the organisers that we are waiting for the go at this point, but we are only a moments away. But you can see a lot of drivers doing a little bit of fuel burning in the pits. But I think there is a call, or some of the stewards are saying that fuel burning in the pits is not permitted. So as a result, there may be a little bit of question. As we see there, it is the case that we're still having those technical issues for Nico Am, but we are now 20 minutes past our go time, and we are waiting. But you can see a gear tilt here, for example, doing some fuel burning. And as we are continuing to wait, we will see whether our drivers will be allowed to get away with that little bit of fuel burning, as it is the case that gear tilt is doing so. But as we do wait here, and we do see the apology there from P-Box, who is our lobby host, with regards to the fact these technical issues are ongoing. But at the end of the day, he can't do anything about it. That is a limitation, and we are just waiting now for confirmation whether we will be switching host to GTD's Texas Doyle, or whether we will be getting going with 11 out of our 12 drivers. As we do wait right now, of course, everybody absolutely celebrating the prospect. You can see that wind has changed in terms of its intensity, and we are getting the call for the formation of a new lobby, which will mean that we do have a further 5-minute delay to proceedings, but we do want to try and get all 12 drivers racing, so you do have to bear with us a little bit longer, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for this. Unfortunately, it's outside of our control, but if things do not work, we will be pushing on as soon as possible. So we will be getting a new lobby forming, so it will be to Texas Doyle who creates the lobby. And apologies if anybody just got deafened by the menu sounds there, but as I say, it does seem as though the menu volume is tied to the volume of cars in spectator mode, so that is a limitation that we're going to have to just work around for the time being, as we do wait for the reformation of what is Lobby B. And we can see here, we are just waiting peacefully right now. So we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Approximately a couple of minutes, up to 5 minutes, but we should have Lobby B underway very, very shortly. Apologies once again. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I believe we are going to be going ahead. We are still seeing those technical issues for Nico M19, but I think it is the case that due to time overrunning now, we are approximately what is half an hour behind schedule. We are now likely to be going ahead with qualifying in short order, which is very unfortunate, of course. We never want to leave a driver behind, but this does happen every so often. But we are just waiting for that final confirmation at the moment, as all of our drivers get ready to go racing. And as they do patiently wait, it is one of those situations where, of course, they were looking to do everything they can, and we have received the go there. So it is the case, and that is from our lobby host, P-Box. We will be going into this qualifying session. We can see drivers making their way out of the pit lane. As they all make the way out, it is going to be Poly, who is our first driver to make his way out onto the circuit. And as he makes his way through, we can see everybody coming out now for the opening qualifying session of Group B for 2022 in this round number 1 at Tsukuba. And as our drivers make their way around right now, we can see Poly here in the GTB machine making his way through, as we do say hello to what is million_92 GTE in the YouTube chat there, as our drivers come roaring on through turn number 5 and up through 6 and 7. Now, as they flow on through here, of course, in what is the mid-engine rear-wheel drive Alpine A110, that 1.8 litre engine in the back of that car, of course, with the 7-speed twin-clutch semi-automatic transmission. And as they make the way around, it is the case as they come roaring down the back straight here, they'll be getting ready to go on to their opening flying laps. And we're going to ride on board with Poly as he takes us through for the opening flying lap of Group B season opener, and we ride on board with the roll cage. A new camera added as a Gran Turismo 7. Let's take you through a lap of Tsukuba. It's coming out the final corner then, heading up to turn number 1, looking for his brake mark on the left hand side, braking down from 6th gear all the way down the gearbox here to 3rd gear before powering out of the corner. And as he makes his way on out, heading down towards turn number 4 through the left into right at turns 2 into 3, and as he makes his way down the left into right here, braking on the apex of turn number 3, snapping in hard into the apex of 4, and as he takes a V-shaped run there, nice line there from Poly, he comes through and up into turn number 5. The flick right hander here with a little dab of the brake before building up that throttle on exit. And as he makes his way through now, holding it hard to the left here, got to be really aggressive with the steering, a little bit of an oversteer there as he went over the crest. And as he comes down into the braking zone for turn number 8 now, the last of the hairpins, the 3 hairpins, he now exits out the corner, got to get on the power as soon as possible and control that rear wheel spin, and now makes his way down the back straight and up towards turn number 9, making his way up into the long right and sweeper very shortly, looking for the brake mark on the left hand side, and just a little dab of the brake there, 6th gear, downshifted to 5th to turn the car through. And as he exits out the corner, what will it be for Poly to set the opening lap of this qualifying session? It will be a 103.7, a good opening lap, but there's still plenty more laps out there for all of our drivers, including Poly, as we do see Kara Skuns here going at P2 so far on what is a 103.854. A bit further back, 2 tenths back there. That's GTDs, I should say, Texas style. The Italian setting in a lap, which is 3.5 tenths off of Poly as he makes his way on around, and as he comes charged on through here. Absolutely wonderful sounds out the engines of these machines as they make their way around, and we can see gear tilt going P2 there, provisional P2, only what is 1.5 hundredths off of Poly as they make their way through and around onto their second flying lap here. We've still got plenty of laps in this practice session, of course, or this qualifying session, if you will, but classified as a practice, but it is qualifying, we should point out. And as they make their way around, we can see EXP's P-Box there going P3 on what is a 103.795. He is only a 10th off of Poly, but Poly has drawn first blood in this qualifying section, and now how will they all respond as our drivers make their way on around the circuit once again? Well, of course, that will be the big question, is who has got the mettle to find a way to be able to get an advantage. We see P-Box there almost losing the rear coming through turn number 7 there, attacking the corner as hard as humanly possible. But it does look as though, in terms of those lap times right now, Poly just simply in a bit of a world of his own, as he has crossed that line and set an even faster lap, Poly, of a 103.592. Continuing to perform very well is the Belgian driver here, but gear tilt goes pole with a 103.474 as he makes his way onto his 3rd lap around the circuit here. And as he comes on through, it is the case that the Frenchman looking strong. 1/10 is the margin that he's taken that lap, and of course, remember, our drivers are having to burn the fuel out of the car as they go. It is the case that they do have tyre wear and fuel modelled in this qualifying session, so as they make more laps, the tyres will pick up some wear, but on top of that, the fuel comes out the car and the lap times are likely to improve, at least for the first half of that 10-lap period, and we may expect some drivers decide to put it into the pits in order to be able to get some fresh tyres on for 1 or 2 final laps. But as they make the way through, we look a little bit further down the order, down to P5 man, P. Ortega here from GTS 92, and it is the case that the GT Spain driver, as he makes his way across there, currently P5, 2.5 tenths off from that previous lap from his personal best. He's over half a second off a provisional pole as set by KRS Skuns. And as they make the way around right now, Ortega looking to try and find a way to close the deficit, no doubt about that. As Texas Doyle is into the pits for what is another set of tyres. It does look as though, or sound as though, Texas Doyle has decided he wants to put on a fresh set in order to be able to try and help himself out. But as our drivers continue to make their way on around here, it is the case that we can see Ortega looking very smooth right now as he makes his way through the double left of 6-7, heading up towards turn number 8, and as he makes his way into that braking zone, looking good at the moment. Ortega keeping it nice and clean as he exits out the corner, and livery looking fantastic indeed. The graphics on Gran Turismo 7 looking absolutely phenomenal as our drivers make their way on through. It's been brought to you on the PlayStation 5 console, and as our driver makes his way through, Ortega 1/10 up on his previous best right now. Will he be able to continue to improve this and potentially move up to P5 versus Primus Sportland? We see Ortega coming out the final corner, he crosses the line, and it's not enough to improve his position. It's enough to improve the lap. Now only 4.5 tenths off a provisional pole. But as he makes his way out of the opening corner once again, we see Texas Doyle here in the pit lane, and well, taking his time getting out of the pits. Supermoy parked up here, and I believe Supermoy waiting for some clear space on the circuit, and indeed falling foul of the fact that it's a very tricky pit lane to navigate out of, for the simple reason that you literally are chucked out right into turn number 1, and he's parked up the brakes. They're very respectful from Supermoy, and indeed GT KRS Skuns also doing the same. But meanwhile, as they make the way on through, Bezzy 02 here really having a difficult qualifying session, down in P9 on a 104.0, trying to break into the 103s, but I don't think he's got enough at this point in time as the ERS driver, as he makes his way through the double left of 6 and 7. And as he comes down into the braking zone once again here for the hairpin, goes a bit deep under brake, and the understeer, they're just carrying him through. Rare to find understeer in these machines, but he's found a way to understeer under braking, and as he makes his way down the back straight here, I think we could be seeing Bezzy peel into the pits. He's pulling over to the right hand side, so he's coming on in. What about Fishka, meanwhile, down in P10? Well, the Kesed, our driver from the Czech Republic, not having the qualifying session that he would want. He is 1.5 seconds off of the best here as he makes his way through turn number 8. And I think Fishka may be saving it all for the final possible laps, because right now that is not a lap which is going to get him anywhere other than the back of the 5th row of the grid, and that's not what you want to be at Tsukuba, because as you guys and girls will have seen as he peels into the pit, this circuit is very, very tight. And to be fair, these Alpines are very narrow cars. We can go racing around here. Much like Mazda MX-5 Roadsters, you can have fantastic racing at Tsukuba in small cars such as these, but of course track position is so key, and around here battling off racing line is so tricky to do. As we do see Arun at 25 here from GT Spain, he's on very low fuel right now, and he is 1.6 seconds off the fastest. Will he be peeling into the pits, or is this an attempt a low fuel qualifying lap? We'll wait and see as he makes his way down the back straight here. Not too far to go, one more corner as he crosses the sector line. He is 6 tenths of a second up on his previous best, so this is an attempt at putting in a fast lap. Where will it put him? Let's see as he makes his way out of the final corner here, and as he comes on through for Arun, is it going to be enough to improve? It's up to P10, but he's still half a second off of ERS Bezzy there, who's in P9. But meanwhile, at the opposite end of the spectrum, we do have Primus Geertilt, who's the fastest of everybody at this point in time, only by half a tenth, it should be pointed out. But the Frenchman, as he goes on to another lap here with low fuel in the car but a fresh pair of tyres to boot, it is the case that right now Geertilt looking strong as he makes his way through the opening corner. A little bit of snap oversteer there on corner exit as he tried to get the power down, and as he makes his way down towards turn at number 4, it is the case that Geertilt really having to work that car hard. It does look as though he really wants to get that lap time in now, and you can see he's gone purple in sector 1. He makes his way through sector 2 now, and he is purple by 600ths versus his own previous best here as he makes his way through 6-7 and up into turn number 8. As he makes his way into the corner here, you'll see that he'll try to go for a slightly late apex to get on the power nice and early on corner exit. It's the case that you don't want to take a V shape to turn number 8. You want to take a slightly asymmetrical U. And as he now makes his way down the back straight here, he will have the toe of the car in front of him, the Racing Team Astra machine. But he has lost that 600ths in sector 2. And I think he'll try and go around again here for another lap as Geertilt comes on through. He makes his way across the timing line, and it is an improvement, and it is an improvement by 5 hundredths, I should say, and Gear Tilt raises the bar, now a tenth ahead of second place man, and that is GTKRS Skuns here, as we see Skuns making his way down and around through 2, 3 and up into turn number 4. Now as he rolls them through into the second of the 3 hairpins here, and of course you can hear the wonderful little turbo-based engines, these 7-speed transmissions of the Alpines, of course very snappy little transmissions. Our drivers make the way on around, and you'll see that all of our drivers here running rear wings. They've had spoilers added to the car because they are allowed to tune the cars. It is the case that they make the way around. They want that extra downforce to settle the rear end as much as possible, because these cars are prone to a heavy amount of oversteer, and as they make the way out of the corners right now, can Skuns respond to a Gear Tilt? We will wait and see. It doesn't look as though he's got a response right now, but we'll see when he crosses the sector line for 2 as he makes his way across. He's nowhere near his previous best. He's 6 tenths down. I think he's saving it for this next lap. We ride on board then with Skuns as he takes us around for another flying lap here, and let's see what he's able to do. So going into turn 1 here, braking down from 107 mile an hour all the way down to about 45 mile an hour on apex, 43 in the end as he exits out the corner. A very late apex there, and that will cost him a little bit of speed in the run down towards turn 4. But as he makes his way into the braking zone of 4 here, settling the car very nice as he chucks it into the apex, slightest corner on the circuit, turn 4. And as he exits out there, a little bit of oversteer as he got the power down. You can see 3 tenths down his previous best already. Not a happy start to lap, and he lost all that time on the exit out of 1 as he has to snap the brakes on there briefly, coming through turn number 6. In fact, he backs off there, and it is the case that Skuns not happy with this lap. He decides to move out of the way and let Gear Tilt go through and not give Gear Tilt the slipstream down the back straight to try and benefit any further as our drivers make the way on around here. They're on lap number 10. They have not got many more laps to go in this qualifying session, and well, will we see anybody deliver something out of the blue? We see Polyphony improves there by 1.5 hundredths. He stays P3, but now on a 103 at 0.318, and now he's on to what we believe is his final qualifying lap there, as our camera just jerks about a little bit, but it seems to be all resolved as he makes his way down through 2, 3 and up into 4. Can the Belgian driver here find a bit more time out on circuit? Indeed, can anybody, because right now the EXP driver of P-Pox here, he's currently P4. He is on a fast lap, and as he makes his way out the final corner here, wherever can he improve from 103.412, makes his way out the final corner, and it's not an improvement, going a bit wide there, and he does in the end run out of fuel literally as he crosses the finish line. P-Pox will be started P4 at best, as we see in the pit lane there. That is Texas Doyle, and we have got Supermoy parking up as well, I believe. A number of our drivers now parking up. They think they've done enough, or they've come to the end of their allotted 10 laps. We can see people Ollie parking up as well. Skuns decided to park up, and well, I think that is it for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. So it is the case that we can see that Gear Tilt takes pole position in the end by 1/10 of a second ahead of GTKRS Skuns, and well, the Prima Esport driver putting in a scintillating lap, and we can see Skuns in the end at P2, and only 1,000th behind him was Pipo Ollie in the end. You can see the two of them parked up together. I think we're going to see quite a rivalry between these two. P4 meanwhile is EXP's P-Box there, the EXP, the executive project driver, and then we've got GTD's Texas Doyle in the pit lane. He will not be putting any more laps in. He'll start off our third row with Supermoy at P6, and then it will be ERS Bezzi P7 on row number 4, and joined alongside by P Ortega from GT Spain, and then behind them on row number 5 it will be Prima Esports' Sportland and the Czech Republic driver of Kesedar Fischka, and then last but not least is GT Spain's Aaron 25, who will line up last but not least, and we are now waiting to go racing here for what is 32 laps of the Tsukuba circuit for race number 1 of our 2 races tonight in Group B. You are tuning in to the GTfusiOn Team World Championship for 2022. This is round number 1 at Group B, second split, and we are only moments away from going racing. And this man, Prima Esports' Gear Tilt, is going to be on pole for race number 1. And how will he get on in what is expected to be a race that's all about track position and defending well into the opening couple of corners? As we do see there in the YouTube chat, Only Channel cheering on at Prima Esports, and I think Only Channel will be very happy to hear that one of the Prima Esports driver is on pole. But meanwhile, it is the case that the other Prima Esports driver of what is, of what is Sportland is quite a way down the order, but we are hearing there is a slight technical issue. We've started the race. Oh goodness me. Well, GT Sport deciding to throw us a few spanners in the works, and well, we will wait to see what happens, but we do seem to be seeing a slight bug at this point in time, which may need to be resolved. And well, we've just captured a screenshot of the qualifying results just in case there's any confusion, but well, we haven't captured a screenshot of that at all, but it is the case as we wait here. Well, we're hopefully going racing very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. But right now we are at the mercy of trying to figure a way to fix this issue with regards to starting the race, but we will wait and find out. And we can see there's a bottle job in the Twitch chat saying, oh my goodness, the chaos. Well, indeed, this is going to be a little bit of a headache for some of our drivers, but we will wait and find out what can be done. As we just make sure to get screenshots of the qualifying order to make sure that it all is set and done. And we're just making sure that everybody leaves the pit lane. Okay, so we're not allowed to use those words that we tried using. So as a result, it looks as though we may have some difficulties here. We are just waiting for clarification on what can be done to resolve the issue, ladies and gentlemen. But we will be very shortly back with the racing as soon as an issue is figured out. We are just waiting now, so we will be back very shortly. Apologies for this, some slight more technical issues. Gran Turismo 7 working as intended. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again, and it looks as though we are having to restart qualifying one and start things from scratch due to the technical issues we have experienced. But now we are back, and well, this time we will hopefully be going racing come the end of another qualifying session here. We do apologise for the fact that you've had to wait so long for everything to be resolved, but we are now go once again for what is a revised qualifying session here. It's another 10 laps in qualifying one as all our drivers take to the Tsukuba circuit once more, and now it will be the case that everybody will have had a good feel for the circuit if they haven't already in their practice sessions in the build up to this opening round. Then they'll be getting even more time on the circuit now as we do see all our drivers making their way out and around. Now, in terms of resolving the technical issues we have switched our lobby host. We switched over to our backup host of GTD Texas Doyle, and we have also tried to tweak some more things in the background. And thank you for staying with us as we say hello in the YouTube chat there to McQueen. Welcome, McQueen. And as our drivers make their way around right now, hopefully it will all proceed swimmingly from this point onwards. Well, we can dream at least, as we do see Peabody and Skuns going on to their flying laps, and Superboy not too far behind here, as we do see the Belgian for GTBE making his way through the opening corner here. As he makes his way through, of course, Superboy, perhaps one of those names that isn't as well known with regards to what is the GTB community, but he has been a long-standing member of the GTB community and quite the veteran as he makes his way on around. And for those wondering, by the way, why did we not just simply do it as a case of having our drivers go out one by one and essentially cross that timing line with a lap to set the qualifying grid as if it were from the previous qualifying round? It is the case that we decided we may as well go for the qualifying session again, because by the time we've got everybody round in that sequence to get the qualifying grid set up, it would take about as long as getting another qualifying session in. And also this gives everybody the ability to get warmed up once again after waiting quite a considerable period of time. Or at least that's the logic I've been informed as our drivers make their way around in this revamped qualifying session. And as we see Superboy coming to the end of a lap here, making his way across that timeline, it's 104.4, and he is 6/10 off the paces. Everybody tries to get in a good lap, and we do see Aaron coming across the line here, and well, the best part of 1.4 seconds off is the Spaniard from GT Spain as he makes his way down and around. As he rolls up through here, indeed all the drivers do. It is the case, all looking to try and improve as much as possible as they make their way across the timing lines. Fishka here, of course, not having the best of a qualified session so far. 106.4, the best part of 3 seconds over the fastest lap here. But I think Fishka saving it all to the final qualifying lap. We will wait and see as a little bit of snap oversteer there. In fact, losing the rear as he's had to settle the car back down as he rolls them through into the right-hander of turn number 5 there, and well, just not carrying the speed he would like as he makes his way around. I think Fishka at this point perhaps just simply putting this in as a sighter lap as we do see him make his way around. But however, with that in mind, that does mean that we have seen a bit of a change up in our qualifying order so far, with Prima Esports' Sportland taking the fastest lap on that provisional board there of what is 103.481. But immediately those laps now coming down with what is XP Peapox here setting an even fast lap of 103.215 here. And it is the case the executive project driver from Italy putting in an absolutely brilliant lap. And how will everybody respond to it as they make the way down and around the Tsukuba circuit? Well, I get the feeling it is going to be close, but Gear Tilt was the closest to Peapox last time around, and we will wait and see what he's able to achieve here as we see Gear Tilt making his way through at turn number 1 and flying down towards turn number 4. And the Frenchman here, as he makes his way down, taking the fight to the Italian, of course, and as he come down into the left-hander, it is one of those situations where Gear Tilt trying to get things done as best he possibly can as he rolls them through and up into turn number 5. Now GT Karaskins, meanwhile, has come into the pits as I look out my commentary box window, as does Peabody. Both drivers there coming in to put on a fresh set of tyres. They're deciding they want to put a new set of tyres on earlier, as does Peapox as well. And of course, our drivers burning a bit of fuel out of the car as we see Gear Tilt making their way around out of the final pair of, well, making their way out of the final hairpin and coming down towards what is turn number 9 as they come charging on down into the right-hander. And Gear Tilt here as we see some more drivers making their way to the pit lane, including Texas Doyle. Will Gear Tilt be able to close up to Peapox this time around as he crosses that line? It is not an improvement. He's a 10th off, and I think he'll be considering putting a fresh pair of rubber on when he makes his way around past the pit lane this time around. but Sportland only 300ths off of him, and Pipo Ollie there in P4, with Supermoy only what is a whole 100th off of him, and then there's a 1/10 gap to ERS Bezzy in P6. And I think you might be right there, GMP, in the YouTube chat, and to be fair to the bottle job as well, is that if the drivers enter the track in the same order of the qualifying results, would they not have to do qualifying again? I think that would have worked, but the decision has been made to go for the qualifying session again, and well, we should not be too far away as Supermoy comes into the pits here. The pit crew come out and they are ready to service the Belgian's car, but whilst he's in the pit lane, we see that Bezzy 02 making his way through turn number 5 and up into 6-7, and as the Elite Racing Squad driver, that's what ERS stands for, makes his way down through 7 and into turn 8 here as he flows through the right-hander, looking to try and nail this corner absolutely perfectly, so that way he can carry all the speed down this back straight. And as he comes charging on through, we see some clarification there from Conte Sky Sim Racing Content, the YouTube, to say that there also seems to be a bug with just having drivers cross the sector lines to set a qualifying order. So it is the case that we have to do qualifying from scratch, it would seem. And indeed, Gran Turismo 7 not being kind to us with a number of bugs or apparent glitches, it would seem, at this point in time, as Bezzy goes onto a flying lap here, and we ride on board with the Polishman as he makes his way on around here, going through turn number 1. Quite a nice apex there, albeit not quite carrying the speed that perhaps he'd want to coming out the corner. And as he makes his way down into turn number 4 here, breaking down the gearbox, coming down to second gear. And it's quite interesting to see here, some drivers opting to use third gear with the tunes that they have on the car, whereas others decide to use second. Will Bezzy right now 3.5 tenths off of his previous best, so I think there may have been a mistake in the order there in that opening sector, because this is not the lap he would have wanted as he makes his way into turn number 8. Now coming all the way down to second gear here, we can see that the wind is now a southerly wind, 4 meters per second almost, blowing up towards the north, and in return that will mean coming around the circuit, our drivers will get a little bit of a push down that back straight in particular, and will Bezzy decide to lift off, put some heat in the tyres, and go for another lap here. He's not happy with how this lap has gone, as he decides to make his way around once again. As he comes through the right hand here to go on to another flying lap, we do see Skuns here, who after that absolutely brilliant lap for P2 in what was the aborted qualifying session, now he's got it all to do again, and he's currently at P7, it's the Frenchman, and he's got to try and find a way to get that lap time down from that 103.737. Behind him, then we can see on the order, it's GTD's Texas Doyle here, and well, Doyle right now, a 103.771, the best he can do so far in this session, as he flows through the right into double left. And behind him, he's got quite the train of cars, all trying to use a slipstream, none less so than Kersedar's Fishka, as the Czech Republic driver makes his way through the turn 8 hairpin here, trying to close up to the back of Texas Doyle to get that distant tow. I think he's a little far back to get a major tow. He will feel a distant tow, but not enough, I think, to give him a significant advantage, we should say, as Texas Doyle peels into the pits. But Fishka is 1.5 steps up on his previous best as he makes his way through the final corner here, and as he flows on through, a 104.5 is his time to beat. He crosses the line, a 104.2, and it is, well, 104.5 I should say, a 104.2 is what he's improved to. As he makes his way through turn number 1, and once again here Fishka quite a way off of the pace of the rest of the top 10, and it is GT Spain's Arun 25 here who are not quite there at this point in time, as the Spaniard makes his way down and around 1.4 seconds of the Executive Project's P-Box, who has got the fastest lap of this session so far. And well, P-Box by comparison, as we look all the way up the order here, and apologies for the fact we're going to jump all the way around, we can see a P-Box right at the back of the slipstream train here on an out lap right now and getting ready to go on to a flying lap. And will P-Box be able to improve from a 103.215? Could we see a 102 here at Tsukuba? I think there might be the possibility, but there may be a little bit of slipstream required in order to achieve that, as we see Arun moving out of the way and Gear Tilt tucked in behind P-Box here as we ride on board with the Italian as he takes us around for another flying lap. As he makes his way into the final corner, he goes a bit deeper, just wide of apex. In fact, it's to settle the car down, and that is going to be a slow start to lap. He will have lost a little bit of speed for that as he makes his way up towards turn number 1, breaking into the right-hander here. He's only 700ths clear of Prima Esports' Gear Tilt, and Gear Tilt right now really looking to get back on pole as we see P-Box making his way down through 2, 3 and up into 4, and as he breaks into turn number 4 here, looking very smooth right now, closing up to the back of Bezzy very gradually as well, and that will help him with some slipstream later on as he gets a huge amount of oversteer there when he got the power down coming out of 4, and this lap literally being on the ragged edge as he makes his way through 5, 6, 7 and up into 8, and as he breaks into the turn 8 hairpin here, will he be able to find a way to get this lap back under control as he exits the corner and he's aborted? He's decided he can't improve on that one, and it will be Gear Tilt who capitalises. He makes his way down the back straight here. And as he comes charging through to that final corner, Gear Tilt, well, how one mistake can make all the difference, but that shows you just how hard these guys are pushing in this repeated qualifying session. As we see Gear Tilt coming across the line, it's not enough to improve for Gear Tilt, so P-Box still holds on with 2 laps to go in this qualifying session for the drivers, and Pipo Ollie only a further 10th down here. He may be able to spring a surprise, but Bezzy right now 6 thousandths off. I think Bezzy could also spring a surprise of his own as they make the way around, and the wind is starting to fall away a little bit at the circuit as we do see Pipo Ollie here in P3 making his way through 6, 7 and up into 8. As he rolls them through the right-hand hairpin here, it is the case that Pipo Ollie wasn't faster than his previous best in Sector 1. What about when he comes up to the Sector 2 line here? As we say hello to Luis Cardamone in the YouTube chat, who is cheering on P-Box. And as we see Pipo Ollie make his way across the line, a 10th down on his previous best here. So I think Pipo Ollie has got a lot to do if he wants to try and improve. And he's going to have to find it on his final qualifying lap as he crosses that timeline. There's a bit of time in the final quarter. We see that he did improve by half a tenth in the final quarter compared to his previous best. But as he makes his way through the opening quarter here, we do have a driver parked off circuit. And, well, I'm not 100% sure who that is, but one driver's decided to park it up as we see Bezzy here coming through the opening corner. And as he makes his way on through here, a lot of drivers making their way down and around on their final laps. And will they be able to find a way to improve? We will have to wait and see, as we do see here Bezzy coming through turn number 4. And actually, I think it's the case that qualifying is said and done, ladies and gentlemen. I think it is 10 laps, including the pit out lap, as we do see they're all starting to spark up on circuit. And what that will mean is that when all is said and done and Gear Tilt has stolen back pole position off camera, it is the case that Primo Esports' Gear Tilt took pole with a 103.029, even faster than his previous best, and the best part of 2 tenths faster than second place man Executive Projects P-Box there in P2. It will then be Pipo Ollie for GTB, who lines up on row 2 with what is Elite Racing Sports' Bezzy 02, and then it will be Prima Sportland on row number 3 with Supremo from what is GTB alongside him. Row 4 is GT Karis Skuns and GT Spain's P. Ortega, line up in row 4. Row number 5 will be GTD's Texas Doyle and alongside Sadar Fishka, and then on the final row it will be GT Spain's Arun 25. Last but not least, the Spaniard 7.5 tenths off the pace in the end, as we do wait to go racing once again. As we are now just waiting for the delayed race number 1 here, and hopefully we can start and go racing. And we can see there Texas Doyle saying he cannot start the race. Let's see if it's because of me being in the lobby. Give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, because we would like to go racing. But we are having some slight technical issues at the moment. I think everybody has been asked to go back into their pit box to see if we can attempt to start racing. Fingers crossed here, because it would be a shame if we cannot go racing after all this qualifying. But we will wait and see with bated breath. Everybody is in the pit lane, and well, can we go racing is the question. Okay, so it will be the case that we're going to try and log it as well. Give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have to... Give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, may be able to. Just got to remember which car's got what on it. Oh, goodness sake. We are going to leave, so we won't be able to spectate if I leave the lobby, even if the race is in progress. Oh, goodness me, that's a slight mistake on my part, if so. We're going to have to very quickly do something to resolve that in terms of actually being able to join. Oh, goodness me. Okay. Apologies for this, ladies and gentlemen. I unfortunately do not have a car which is able to join until we make some slight changes to the car. And it is Sport Hard tyres. Fingers crossed we can get back in there. Okay, we are waiting and hopefully... I think we are just going to have a continued chain. Okay, we can go. We can go racing, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to have to essentially take to the grid and then leave the grid because I'm not planning to race unless they want me to race in a Renault Clio. But this is going to be race number 1 of the GTfusiOn Lobby B, round number 1. And we will not be racing in the Clio RS here. Consider it to be the official pace car. But it's lights out and away we go, ladies and gentlemen, for race number 1 of tonight as Prima Gear Tilt tries to hold onto lead as he makes his way into turn number 1 here. All the drivers coming through and Peacock's going on the offensive as well as they make their way through the opening corner. They come charging down towards turns 2 through to 4, and as they make their way into the braking zone, you can see there Bezzy having gained the advantage on Sportland nice and early, and as they make their way under braking into left-hander behind the 2 GTB drivers battling for position. Polyphony versus Supermoy 07 as they make their way in, and Supermoy takes back P6 there as Polyphony gains the advantage. Now let's bring that the details up on screen for you can see. You can see what's going on in Sportland's off circuit there, running very wide as he goes and rejoins here. But I think a little bit of a mistake, plus the dirty air coming through 6 and 7 on cold sports hard tyres, and that is hurting massively as they make their way down towards turn number 9. But right now, what a very frantic opening lap, and Ortega here is looking at an opportunity as with green flag, and they make their way into turn number 9. as they come charging through the right-hander here. Ortega looking for that potential move on Sportland, but I think Sportland has calmed things down a little bit. But after the opening lap then, it is Prima Esports' Gear Tilt leading by 1.3 seconds ahead of Executive Projects P-Box there in P2. ERS Bezzy in P3, followed by GTB's People Ollie P4, followed by Supermoy from GTB in P5. We then got a sizable gap of 9 tenths of a second to GT Karis' Skuns in P6. Really the rest of the field here from P6 downwards with Prima Esports' Sportland after that horrible off earlier on in P7 there. GT Spain's Ortega in P8. And there's GTD Texas Doyle P9, followed by GT Spain's Aaron in P10, and then Fishka down in P11 after and off. And I think there's been some contact involving Fishka, but as we look from the back of the field to the front of the field, you can see it is the case that Gear Tilt running away with proceedings as the time goes on here, and he makes his way towards the end of this second lap of 32 as they make their way down the back straight. And as they come charging into turn number 9, it is the case that all of our drivers are roaring on through here. But do keep in mind as well that we're not expecting our drivers to be able to make it to the end of this race on a single tank of fuel. So as a result, with that mandatory pit stop, we could be expecting some heavy fuel saving being used right now by our drivers who are chasing after Gear Tilt, and Gear Tilt may be pushing a little bit harder than most as they make their way through turn number 1 once again here on lap number 3. And as they come rolling on down this time, we can see it's the case as they all come on through. Bezzy here in P3, rolling on through the corners here as he makes his way through turn number 4. Looking good is Bezzy. He's had a good start to this race and is settling in very nicely, beating Pipo Ollie to P3 over the opening couple of corners, and Pipo Ollie feeling the pinch in the end as they now make their way down towards the turn 8 hairpin once again. It's been a very dramatic start for all of our drivers, but we are finally racing, of course, and it's great to see you all tuning in and enjoying it as they make their way around through turn number 8 once again. And as they come down here, of course, these Alpine machines will be quite tricky to handle when the tyres start to pick up wear, and we can already see using the tyre graphic in the bottom left hand corner of your screen for each driver, you'll see that they're already starting to take off that initial scrub layer of the tyre, which means the tyres are moving into their prime right now. We're expecting the tyres to start to feel a little bit of pain and the lap times to drop away around the midpoint of the race. That's where the tyres will start to feel that pressure, and that's where the big question comes in. Does a driver change tyres at the pits, which will cost them a couple of extra seconds, or do they decide to stay on the same tyres and potentially lose some lap time later on? But as we look down the order there, you can see that Prima Sportland here, well, he's found a way to pass GT Karis' Skuns moments ago, and he's now on the offensive versus Supermoy here as we ride on board with Sportland as he makes his way out of turn number 4 and up into 5 here. We can see the difference in racing line with the fact that Sportland a little bit smoother on entry into turn number 5. In return, taking a bit too much apex there of turn 6. He makes his way under braking into the right-hander of turn number 8 and going for a very deep line there is Sportland. And I think the idea behind that is he wants to get the power out the corner, and you can see Supermoy had difficulty getting the power down, and Sportland's going to look for the move here as they make their way into turn number 9. And as they come roaring on through, it is the case Sportland up the inside here looking to get another place back after that awful start, and Sportland moves up to P5, but Supermoy is back behind him, and as they make the way out the final corner, they go on to lap number 5 here at 32, and well, the Belgian has no response right now from GTB. It does Supermoy at 007. He has to wait for another opportunity later on in the race, but Sportland has still got plenty more to do. Sportland, of course, with the pace to be right up there alongside Gear Tilt from Prima Esports. The two Prima Esports drive a very strong pace, but right now it does seem as though that GTB by comparison not quite on the pace, or at least Supermoy by comparison not quite there as they make their way on through. As they come roaring on down and around, making their way into the next set of corners here, we can see Skuns making that pace and making that ground as they roll on through, and as they come up into the different corners, it is a situation whereby Skuns here, who was looking good, made a mistake early on which has dropped him back a little bit, and now having to try and regain, and you can see those gaps starting to open as they make their way down the back straight here, and GT Spain's P. Ortega here not too far behind either, and he's building up quite a bit of pace here is the 667 driver as he makes his way through the right-hander of turn 9 and comes to the end of lap number 5, going on to 6 right now, running a bit wide there, taking a bit of a rallycross approach to the final corner, just within track limits this time, but he's going to have to be careful of that as that tyre wear does begin to accumulate, and you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen that rear left tyre for P. Ortega starting to open up a little bit, where he's pushing hard on the left-hand side compound. Of course, this circuit being a clockwise circuit, so there's more right-hand turns than left-hand turns, and that means the left-hand side tyres will take the better part of the wear by comparison with the right side tyres, and right now P. Ortega really starting to feel that in the car as he makes his way through turn number 5. As he comes on through, we look a little bit further up the order and we can see Sportland here. Well, the Premier Esports driver, he's taken one GTV driver already in the form of Superboy a couple of laps ago, and now he's looking to do the same in the exact same section of the circuit, and that is on GTV's Pipo Ollie. But Pipo Ollie will have something to say about this, I'm sure, as they make their way down the back straight here. Pipo Ollie going defensive here as they make their way into the long right, and we can see Sportland flying right now in that slipstream as they make their way out the corner, and I wonder how long it will be before he starts to try and put his nose down on the inside as they make their way into turn number 1 for the 7th time of asking. But in terms of battles out on circuit, this really is the closest battle right now. The rest of the field has spaced out to an extent as they roll them through the right-hander of 1 and down to 4 they come once again. And our drivers now really starting to move into that space of the strategy rather than worrying about those overtakes. The only exception is Premier Esports' Sportland, because he will feel that he's got the pace to be up there in the top 3, and as he makes his way through the right-hander of 5, I think he's the one who's pushing right now. To be fair, all of our drivers are giving it their all. I shouldn't say they're relaxing right now, but some drivers will be focusing more on the fuel saving and the tyre management aspect than others, and I think that's what Pipo Ollie is balancing here. I think he's a little bit worried about the fuel, whilst at the same time, of course, worrying about the pace from Sportland behind. And will he let Sportland go? Well, you won't want to let Sportland go, because if he lets Sportland go, I think Sportland will just disappear off into the distance. As they roll them through the long right once again of 9, you can see Sportland there understeering a little bit wide in the dirty area. Pipo Ollie brings the car back together, but it shows you how hard Sportland is pushing, and that lap was half a second down in his previous best. And as he makes his way into turn 1 once again, I think it is the case whereby we can see that Sportland just having a bit of difficulty with regards to that tyre wear as they roll their way down into turn number 4. And as they come on in at this point, we do look a little bit further down the order, and we can see that meanwhile down in P8 here, P. Ortega from GT Spain feeling that pressure from GTD Texas Oil as they make the way out of turn 4. But right now Ortega starting to put in some personal bests here, and it is looking good for Ortega as he makes his way down through 6-7. This lap is looking good, but we'll have to see, because Texas Oil is inching ever closer as they roll them through into turn number 8, and as they exit, well, Doyle getting a better exit by a considerable margin as they make their way down the back straight. Now as they come on through and in towards turn number 9, we can see it's the situation whereby Texas Doyle are quite a way off here. He will need to try and find a way on through, and Doyle pushing as hard as he can for GTD as he makes his way through the long right. He's not close enough yet to look for a move. He's 3.5 tenths off, closing in the run up towards 1, but I think he's got too little of a run here to dare to dream to go up the inside. He makes Ortega take an inside line, so he is putting that pressure on, but I think Ortega right now doing everything right as they roll them through and head up towards turn number 4. But as they come down, Texas Doyle all over back. Ortega is going to look. No, he's not quite there. He's not quite dreaming the look at the moment. He has to wait once again as they make the way through the left-hander of 4. Up towards 5 they go. But you can see Texas Doyle definitely being held up now. He has got the pace. He needs to find a way on through, and that is the challenge here at Tsukuba. But meanwhile, we look from them to a bit further up the road, and Sportland still tucked in behind GTV's Pipo Ollie as the Premier Esports driver as they make the way down the back straight this time. But I think it is the case. We can see Sportland's fuel there at approximately 47%. Meanwhile, Pipo Ollie's by comparison a lot more fuel for Pipo Ollie. And remember what we were saying about earlier about fuel saving? This is exactly what Pipo Ollie is doing. He is fuel saving whilst keeping Sportland at bay. And that fuel advantage of approximately 6% is going to be huge in the pit stop window, because what it will mean for Pipo Ollie is he will spend significantly less time, and the refuel rate here at Tsukuba, and indeed the refuel rate in general on Gran Turismo 7, much lower than it previously has been. It's something along the lines of 2% a second, and that is going to feel like a lifetime for Sportland in the pit lane as they make the way down and around. Now as they roll on through here, it is the case that we can see as they make the way through turns at 5, 6 and 7 that Ollie is feeling a bit of pressure, but Sportland not as exacting on that pressure anymore. Meanwhile, further back, I can tell you that Texas Doyle has passed P. Ortega from GT Spain, and the Italian now in clear air. But you can see, look at the gap he's already opened. He's opened up a gap of 1 second, and that's in the space of only a lap. Now, as he makes his way down the back straight here, I think Texas Doyle will be feeling very comfortable as he rolls on through and comes up into turn number 9. But we look from him to behind him and also Ortega to Arun here down in P10 and also Fishka last but not least here. Both of these drivers having a difficult day at the office. And then, well, our leader right now going on to lap number 11. Prima Esports' gear tilt here, who's just in a world of his own, but he is using a lot more fuel by comparison with his peers. We can see his fuel load there somewhere in the region of around 40%. Meanwhile, P-Box by comparison about 48%, and then we've got Bezzy behind him on about 45%, and then it is Pipo Ollie who's on that 49, 48 as he makes his way on through here. So P-Box and Pipo Ollie will gain a lot in the pit window by comparison with regards to the drivers ahead, but it does look as though right now, well, and again, we're seeing some questions there in the YouTube chat with regards to the conditions of the three in front, the three at the very front here. We are seeing that Bezzy wearing quite heavily on his tyres, but the fuel load there somewhere in the region of around that 45% mark. Then we have got P-Box by comparison, who's been doing a bit more fuel saving there, and his tyres, well, it's the left-hand side tyre, the rear left, that's starting to open a bit more, and you can see how much fuel he has been saving there with about 47% fuel remaining. And it is Prima Esports' gear tilt who has used so much fuel and has ripped a lot of life out of those left side tyres. And gear tilt right now, the reason why he's flying is because he's not doing any fuel saving. He is just going all in here to try and win, and that's fair play, as we do see Pipo Ollie back in P4 here, who's on a lot of fuel, and those tyres looking good. But Sportland now very close behind. But remember, Sportland has had to use a huge amount of fuel. Sportland's fuel less than 30% here. He's about 16% down on Pipo Ollie as they make their way through the corners, and that is going to be an enacting toll on Sportland. In fact, that's about a 20% gap in fuel. And for Sportland right now, well, I think he's got to be ready for the fact he's going to have to battle his way back up the order in that pit stop, because that pit stop is going to be a long one. It's going to be a painful one, and we'll wait and see how it plays out as they make their way down the back straight this time around. Now, one question you may be asking at this point is, when can we expect those pit stops? Well, we are expecting one stops here at Tsukuba, but however, is it a case that you pit at the end of 16, so you make it a 16-16, or is it the case that you try and vary? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Sportland goes up the inside here. Pipo Ollie does not defend this hard, and I think that's a signal there that Pipo Ollie thinks he's done the damage he needs to in terms of making Sportland use the fuel. And now the question is, of course, will Sportland calm it down at this point, or will he continue to push? Well, I think at this point in time, he's got to know surely that he's using more fuel than the rest of his peers, and he's going to have to go all in here and just gamble it in terms of the pace. He's setting a personal best in Sector 1. And as he makes his way through 5 and up through 6 and 7 here, Sportland now hunting down Bezzy, who's 1 second up the road. And, well, I think Bezzy may have something to say about this, given the fact that he's got a lot more fuel compared to Sportland as the Polish driver, as he makes his way down that back straight. And as they come charging on down here, we say hello to GTTY's Batu in the YouTube chat there. And, well, welcome to you, Batu. Hope you're doing well. And as our drivers make their way through here, well, the battles have calmed down for a little bit, and now we are waiting for that big question on the strategy and how that pit stop will play out. But what we were going to say before Sportland made that overtake on Ollie at this corner on the previous lap on lap 13 is that with regards to the strategies, it could be the case that some drivers will be looking to offset. They may go longer on that opening stint, so say do 18 laps on the opening stint and then do 14 on the second stint in order to give themselves a bit more of an aggressive car in the second stint of the race. Others may do the opposite to try and undercut. We'll have to wait and see. But the track field has actually spread out quite a bit here, so that does mean that undercuts and overcuts are possible, and nobody seems to be really held up at the moment. The only one who's being held up, and that's because he's pushing absolutely mad as we ride on board with him, it's Prima Esports' Sportland here, who's closed up to Bezzy at a sensational rate of knots. And as they make the way out to turn number 8 and head up towards 9, you can see how close he is to the back of Bezzy in that slipstream, and he's going to pull out for the move here. He's going for it, and Bezzy, I think, has lifted off into the corner. He's decided, no, he's not going to battle it at all. And right now, Sportland, 2.5 tenths up on his previous best in terms of that. That's a 104.2 last time around. As he makes his way across the line this time, it's a 104.0. Sportland is absolutely flying, but of course the cost that comes with that, as we see that tyre wear continuing to accumulate, is he's using so much fuel and tyre life in order to deliver this pace. As he makes his way down towards turn number 4, his next target of course is Executive Project or EXP's P-Box, and he is 1.6 seconds up the road. And we look at P-Box right now, who's got about 26% fuel remaining, and well, those tyres are taking a lot of wear particularly that rear left tyre, and I think P-Box is running a brake bias that's very heavily weighted towards the rear in the Italian's car, because right now the fact he's got so much wear on those rear tyres compared to those fronts is a sign that he's pushing that rear left in particular through a lot of pain under braking and under traction and acceleration as they make the way down the back straight here. But we look from them all the way down the order here to the back of the order, and we can see that Fischke here closing up to the back of Arun for the last place in the top 10 here as they battle for P10, and I think Fischke close to low fuel. And Arun, by comparison, has about 2 to 3% more fuel in the tank against Fischke as they make the way through turn at number 8. Meanwhile, Piotega here, the last of the runners in the lead pack in P9, and he will be pulling into the pits next time around. There's no doubt about that, as that fuel is looking dangerously close as he goes on to lap 16. Our drivers are reaching the halfway point here, and Texas Doyle, the best part of 5.2 seconds up the road. As they make the way into turn number 4 here, we can see that Skuns, by comparison, a bit of a no man's land for GT KRS as he makes his way through. Indeed, the Racing Team Astra driver as he comes through the right hander here, trying to push on after Supermoy, but at the same time not push too hard. But we look away from them all the way to the front of the field, and into the pits comes Prima Geertil. He comes on in, and this will be to take on fuel. The pit crew come out. He has no fuel remaining, and I suspect that P-Pox here, well, is P-Pox going to come into the pits? Surely he's coming into the pits here. This will be for tyres and fuel, but this will be to essentially undercut Geertil on fuel. But Bezzy, meanwhile, goes around for another lap here. So the Polishman has decided that he wants to go for the overcut compared to the rest of the field, and we'll look at those fuel numbers, ladies and gentlemen. It's Pipo Ollie who is winning in the fuel stakes with 21% fuel, and then Texas Doyle and Supermoy on both on 19 as they are all waiting to be serviced. Now Geertil is already being serviced in the pit lane. They are putting fuel in the car. What about P-Box here? Well, they're doing the tyres at the moment and they're putting the fuel in now. We will wait and see. Of course, he will have that advantage, but how much of an advantage will it be when they put the fuel in the car? We're waiting to see. Geertil still being serviced here. It's a very long refuel time as those fuel guns are on for an exceedingly long time. The only driver on the circuit at the moment is ERS Bezzy, who's literally out there very happily just driving around right now and going for that overcut. And he will have 1 lap fresher tyres at least going into that second stint. But we're hearing that Geertilt's come out the pits, and look who's alongside him here. In fact, they're inside one another a little bit here as they make the way through turn number 1. Pipo Ollie and Geertilt come out together, and they're battling as they make the way down towards turn number 4. And Pipo Ollie is putting a lot less fuel by comparison here. He's putting a lot less fuel. In fact, he's putting about 20% less fuel. And as they make their way down towards turn number 5, it's the case that Pipo Ollie, well, they've decided GTBE that they can underfuel the cars and feel safe in the knowledge of doing so. As Bezzy's into the pits, Superboy's out in P4 and P-Box, and putting in maximum possible fuel here. Well, he's going on the offensive for this second stint, and in doing so here, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Meanwhile, Texas Doyle has jumped ahead of Prima Sportland, and he's putting a bit less fuel than Sportland, and now Sportland will be going on the full attack here from P7. Skuns has come out in P8 ahead of Ortega by a sizable margin. Ortega all the way down in P9, 11.5 seconds down on him as they make the way through, and it's Arun in P10, and it is Fischke in P11 as they make the way through, and Fischke coming out behind Arun once again as they make the way through. But what about Bezzy here? As see Bezzy coming out the pit lane, he comes out in P5, and the overcut, has it worked for Bezzy? Not really. In fact, he's lost 2 places in the overcut, and now he's got it all to do once again here. But the one thing he will have in mind is the fact that he will have more fuel available, plus also tyres that he can push, because he has not got to take them to as many laps. He's going to have 1 lap fresher tyres, and that may help him towards the end of this stint. We'll wait and see here, but the real story right now is the fact that Pipo Ollie coming out right behind Geertilt, but you can already see that Geertilt running away off into the distance here. I think the Prima Esports team have done a fantastic job, and they've worked out that delta, and Pipo Ollie, who was close but not quite there, to coming out ahead of Geertilt, and in the end now the GTBE driver has got to worry about the fact, not his teammate here of GTB Supermoy, who is in P3, but it's this man here of P-Pox, who, having put more fuel in the car, will be pushing very hard now to try and come home on the podium in that P2 position. We will wait and see. as he comes charging down here. And thank you for clarifying there, Igor Piasecki in the YouTube chat, saying about Pipo only used 79% in the first half of the race, so no surprise that he underfueled it so much. And indeed, in underfueling, he's given himself a great advantage. And now we have to wait and see if EXP's P-Box and also Bezzy and Prima Sportland plus Texas Doyle, whether they can all come through versus the more fuel-efficient drivers as they are looking to complete the rest of this race. We are 19 laps into the 32-lap race here at Tsukuba. This is Lobby B, or Group B, the second split from the top split, and as they make their way around right now, well, you have to say that it's one of those races where it's now calmed down a little bit for a while, but it is the calm before the storm, and we are expecting some huge battles as we head towards the end of race number 1 of 2 here at Tsukuba. And we can see there a little bit further back, Texas Doyle under some pressure here from Sportland as they make their way down the back straight, and Sportland looking for that potential move as they make their way into turn number 9. Now as they roll through the right-hander here, Texas Doyle literally being hounded by Sportland, the Prima Esports driver here, doing everything. He's going one way, he's going the other, and Sportland here, well, Texas Doyle pulls in, and in the end, Texas Doyle makes Sportland try to go around the outside to inside here. Now, will Sportland get the cut back is the question. He's all over him like a bad rash here, and Sportland definitely feeling as though he can go for it, but Texas Doyle proving to be a very wide driver as they make their way down to turn number 4 here, as they roll them through the left-hander. Well, Doyle going defensive, and Prima Sportland all over the back of him as they make their way up towards turn number 5 and into 6-7. There won't really be an attempt at a move here until they come up to turn number 8, but Sportland there losing out a little bit as they make their way down through 6-7 and up into the hairpin here. And you can see Sportland just taking the race in line here. He knows he's got to be patient. He doesn't need to rush this. He's got time, and he's got a couple more laps before he needs to worry about pushing hard. And as they make their way down the back straight here, Doyle going defensive early, cutting the slipstream, and that's all about whether Sportland can go around the outside as they make their way into the corner, but Texas Doyle keeps the door shut, and as they make their way through 9 here, it's going to be the case that Sportland's going to have to look to cut back, but he's too close to make the cut back as they make their way onto another lap. Sportland flashing his lights there, trying to distract the Italian driver as they make their way into turn number 1. As they come through the right-hander this time around, we can see it's the case that Sportland tucked him very close behind once again, and Texas Doyle throwing everything at him in order to try and find a way through. But as they roll down, Sportland looks to the inside. It's a little bit of a lunge, and Texas Doyle is given a knock, but it's the case that Sportland has to back out there, daring to try and force the move at the last moment. But I think that was a little bit over-eager, and as a result now he's got it all to do again. And of course, every lap he spends behind Texas Doyle is a lap which Bezzy moves away, and in fact the top 3 disappear off into the distance as we see Prima Sportland now having to think about where can he go for this move. But meanwhile, whilst they're making their way down and around the back straight here, we do look a little bit further down the order. We can see the Racing Team Astra driver of Skuns here in P8, and then we've got Ortega in P9, and Fishka has found his way past GT Spain's Aaron 25 for P10, as we see the KSR driver battling to hold on to the final place in the top 10 as they make their way through. But meanwhile, a little bit further up the road, indeed right at the front of the road, is Prima's Gear Tilt here in a world of his own. He's just set the fastest lap of the race of 103.635, looking very fast as Prima Gear Tilt, and behind him will Pipo Ollie, not quite there on pace, but definitely doing well right now. Although P-Pox, I should say, we didn't see this on camera, my apologies, but EXP P-Pox has found a way past Supermoy from GTBE. And the Italian here is putting in the 103s. In fact, he's just set a 103 on that previous lap, a 103.9, and he's only 2.5 seconds off of GTB's Pipo Ollie. We'll keep our eyes out for when P-Box may get close here, but the rate of closure, I think he's going to be there looking for P2 right at the end of the race. But meanwhile, we do look back to that battle for P6 here, and Texas Doyle still holding off from what is Sportland here. Prima Esports is Sportland, who was a bit optimistic last time around, but Sportland now will have that in mind in terms of Texas Doyle proving to be quite defensive as they make their way through turn number 9, and as they roll them through the right-hander here, well, Doyle's going to go defensive in the middle of the road once again. He'll make Sportland go to the outside, and Sportland here turns in, trying to lock Texas Doyle to a tight line, and Sportland's going to hug him as much as he dare as they make their way out of the corner, but Sportland in the end is knocked wide there. Now that is going to enrage Sportland, indeed the Prima Garage. They'll be on the radio to the stewards after this, feeling that they were forced wide. I think what Texas Doyle will argue is you weren't enough alongside to warrant the outside outside space, but I would say he was close enough to warranting that outside space. And as they make the way through, that's what the stewards will have to decide. But Sportland right now feeling the pressure of trying to find his way on through, and with that little push, well, you can see now there is the case that Racing Team Astra Skuns getting ever closer here, and now it's turned into a battle for P7 rather than a battle for P6 as they make the way out of turn number 8. But Sportland definitely feeling that frustration of not fuel saving because he had to push hard on the opening stint after that off at turn number 5. But as they make the way all down the round once again, we look back up to the battle for P3, and we can see here it is the case that Peapox, well, he is continuing to chase down what is Pipoli as they make their way in towards turn at number 4. But that momentum is starting to slow a little bit, with Pipoli putting in some good laps. And I think if the momentum is going to come, it will be right at the end. You can see Peapox is flying, but Pipoli is doing enough to respond at the moment. Although I say that as we look at the lap time delta as they make the way through Sector 2, it is Sector 2 where Peapox is really closing, and that could work out to his advantage as they make the way down the back straight here. That gap has come down dramatically in Sector 2. So Sector 1, Pipo Oli is the faster of the two of them. Sector 2, Peapox is faster by at least 3/10, and it's in Sector 3 where I think the two of them are relatively equal, as Sector 3 only being turn number 9 as they come to the end of the current lap and go on to lap number 25. But as they roll on through here, coming through turn number 1 and down towards turn number 4 in a quick succession, it will be the case that Supermoy will be looking to try and close back up to Peapox. He'll want to help his teammate out, of course. He'll want to help out Pipoli as much as he can. Both of them representing GTBE for some major points here in Group B as they make their way through the left-hander of 4. But he's got quite a deficit to close up, and I think he'll be waiting for Peapox to close up to the back of Pipoli, and that's where he'll make the rate of closure as they roll them through the corners. But meanwhile, we look back to that battle for P6 through to P8 right now, and you can see that Primus Sportland has closed up once again to the back of Texas Doyle as they make their way out of 5 and through 6, 7. But the problem is, of course, Sportland can close up all he wants, but the GTD driver just seems to be so defensive, and to be fair, we love to see a good defense, and that makes Sportland absolutely have to work hard for it. Of course, that defense was a little bit more elbows out the last time they battled through turn number 1, and Sportland not happy about that push wide, but we'll have to wait and see whether he can find a way through for the third time of asking. Now, if you are Prima Esports in Sportland, where do you go for this move? Well, I think in his mind, what he will have to do is he'll have to look for that move potentially in the run down the back straight. That's the only place he can really do it. He's got to get Texas Doyle to make a mistake in order to get the run, because if Texas Doyle doesn't make a mistake, then it does seem as though the Italian driver has the pace to simply hold that inside line and run Sportland wide at turn number 9. But as they come down into turn number 4 at this time, you can see Sportland is closing like a missile as they roll him through the corner, and he's getting ever closer each and every time. And I think Sportland is going to be about when, not if, he can go for the move. There's a rare mistake there from Texas Doyle, just running a little bit wide coming out of turn number 5. It won't cost him too much, but he'll feel the pressure now as we see Sportland decides to go deep here. He's looking for the cutback run here. He'll get the maximum possible exit speed as they make the way up the back straight, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And ERS Bezzi in P5, they are closing on the Polishman. We can see Texas Doyle goes defensive. Sportland made to go around the outside again into turn number 9 here, and it does look as though Texas Doyle playing for keeps rather than letting Sportland try and pull the pair for them up towards Bezzi. And I think Bezzi will be grateful for this, as you can see Sportland getting very close here as they make their way down to turn number 1. Now, will he send it from that far back, from 2 attempts back? No, he waits, but he goes for the outside line. He looks for the cutback, and as he builds up the throttle here on corner exit, Texas Doyle holds him off once again as they make their way through 1, down through 2, 3, and up into turn at number 4. And it is the case they are as they were, as Sportland just cannot find a way past the Italian. Meanwhile, a bit further up the road, I can tell you that it is the case that Peapox right now in P3, the EXP driver is closing on Pipo Oli. He's closing up to him by a tenth a lap at this rate, but it's not enough right now to put pressure on with 6 laps to go, including this one. We look back to that battle for P6, and you can see the Texas Doyle continuing to hold on here as they make the way through. We're in the late stages of race 1. They make the way down the back straight, and what can Sportland do here? I think he is running out of time. He's running out of tyre, and the fuel is not going his way either. The two of them comparable in fuel now, but Sportland having to use more fuel by comparison each and every lap. And as they roll on through turn number 9, well, Doyle goes defensive again. Sportland all over the back of him, and Doyle makes Sportland go as wide as possible here. But you can see Doyle literally parking the car in apex, and how frustrating it is for Prima Esports' Sportland as he makes his way out of the corner. But Doyle's allowed to park it, to be fair, so long as he's not driving dangerously. He is allowed to park on apex to an extent, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's just simply taking all the bite out of Sportland's attack as they make the way out of 4 and up into 5, and it's working very well right now. And that just goes to show you how important track position is here at Tsukuba, with the fact you can defend so well around this circuit, and the overtaking opportunities do come, but they are limited in supply as both drivers make their way into turn number 8. As they roll them through, and this time around I can tell you it's the case that Sportland really are just not able to find that place. And meanwhile, RT, the Racing Team Astra driver of Skuns here, a bit too far back to get involved. He's just watching innocently 1 second back here and waiting for that opportunity should both drivers really start to take one another on. As he rolls through at turn number 9 there. And as they make their way up into the opening corner, well, Sportland this time getting very aggressive through the apex, but again just not able to find that place. And again it's Texas Doyle who parks on apex very comfortably and just simply waits to see how Sportland will react next as they make their way into the turn 4 hairpin here. Both drivers now starting to feel that tyre wear, as meanwhile Bezzy just in front, only 1.1 seconds ahead, but he'll feel safe. He's got Texas Doyle acting as a bit of a rear gunner here, even though they're not racing for the same team, and the ERS driver, the Elite Racing Squad driver, holding on right now as he makes his way down into turn number 8. But we look from them to the battle for P2, and it is the case that EXP's Peapox here still chasing after Peabody. He's brought the gap down to 1.2 seconds as they come to the end of lap 29. 3 more laps to go after this one, and as they make their way across that timeline, Peapox is closing, but not enough here. And you can see the fact that Peabody now matching Peapox for lap time as they make their way through the opening corner, and in doing so, that is where the frustration comes in for Peapox now, because he hasn't got much more to give as they make their way through the corners. But we do look back to Texas Doyle and Prima Sportland here in that battle for P6, the closest battle, and they are both closing up on Bezzy. But the problem is, every time they close, Texas Doyle then has to go defensive versus Sportland, and in going defensive he takes all the pace out of his own lap time, understandably, to do the defense, and that is where he loses out in chasing down P5 here. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place, which is he can't go hunting after P5 without the risk of losing P6 to Sportland, and he doesn't want to lose P6, understandably so. He wants to get some good points on the board as they make their way through turn number 8 and up towards 9. But as they roll through the right hander, you can see all 4 drivers there, including RTA's Skuns in P8, just looking on as well. It is the case they roll in succession, and there's not much longer to go for the drivers. As meanwhile in the battle for P2, I can tell you that Peapox has closed a little bit more, but he's not quite close enough yet. Our race leader, Prima Esports' gear tilt, is the best part of 8.5 seconds up the road. He's just disappeared off into the distance. There's not much else to be said other than the fact he's just been in control of this race, and Peepo Ollie right now looking to hold on versus Peapox. He's not got long to go. This is the penultimate lap, and he's putting in some personal bests right now. That shows you the pace that Peabody, the consistency he's delivering. And as he makes his way out to turn 5, down through 6 and 7, I think he's now got the measure of Peapox here, who's taken a lot of life out of his tyres by comparison. He's got the fuel to go to the end and push hard, but those left side tyres, particularly that rear left, now really starting to hurt. And I think that is where Peapox is losing out, and where he is losing at that pace by comparison as they make the way down towards turn number 9. But as they roll on through here, we look back to that battle for P5, and we can see that Bezzy here, as the race leader, goes on to the final lap. Bezzy in P5 with Texas Doyle just behind right now. They're all equidistant, about 8 tenths between all 4 drivers, apart from Skuns, who's 1.5 seconds back off of Sportland. But as they all come through here, I think they've settled unless one of them makes a major error on this final lap. They roll on through, they go on to the final lap, lap 32 of 32, and right now it is looking as though Sportland has not got a way to get past Texas Doyle with time running out. Skuns behind there, and it's a 26-second gap to P. Ortega, followed by Fishka from KSZR in P10, and then it is GT Spain's Aruna in P11 here as they make their way down and around. But meanwhile, our race leader as he makes his way down the back straight here. It's been a flawless run from start to finish. He qualified on pole, he held onto the lead into the opening corner, and whilst there was a scare when he came out the pits, when Polyphony came out alongside him, he was able to hold onto the lead, and as he makes his way out the final corner, it's Prima Esports' Gear Tilt from France who takes the win in race number 1 of Lobby B here at Tsukuba, and behind him, finishing 9.6 seconds down in a brilliant drive, it is GTV's Polyphony P2, the Belgian finishing ahead of EXP's P-Box there from Italy P3, Superboy from GTV P4, and it is going to be ERS's Bezio2, the Polishman, who completes our top 5 in a solid drive there. Behind him, Texas Doyle, and then it will be Prima Sportland who just creeps across the line, having run out of fuel P7, ahead of RTA Skuns there in P8, the Frenchman just missing out and snatching away P7, and then it will be GT at Spain's P. Ortega here, who's got a little way to go yet. He's in P9, and we are hearing that GT Spain's Arun 25 has finished the race a lap down, so he will be classified as finishing P11 on lap number 31 as he makes way around. A difficult race for Arun, but still finishing the race is what it's all about. And as we see GT Spain's Ortega come into the line here, the Spaniard bringing home P9 ahead of Fischke in the end, will be coming home for Cansadar GP in P10 with the Czech Republic driver as he makes his way out of the final corner, and that will be race number 1, ladies and gentlemen, as he runs out of fuel on the finish line. Congratulations to all of our drivers, but a special congratulations to Prima Gear Tilt. I do believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, that is race number 1. We're just going to see if we can grab you those race results. I don't think we can actually show you the race results once again, ladies and gentlemen, but my goodness, what a fantastic race in race number 1. And now we will be waiting to see what happens with regards to race number 2, whether we are still going to have that 10-minute break or whether we are going to go straight into qualifying 2 and then race number 2. We'll find out very shortly for you. But the major talking point with regards to the race number 1 really was the fact that we saw a variety of drivers going all in terms of fuel usage, particularly the Prima Esports drivers, and none more so than Gear Tilt and Sportland. But also on top of that, the fact that we saw the fuel conservation techniques from GTVE drivers such as Polyphony, and that worked out very well in enabling them to jump right into that podium battle. And well, it worked out very nicely for Polyphony, and he almost jumped into the lead. Whether he'd been able to hold the lead or not, that would have been a big question, but he came out alongside what was Gear Tilt, and it was a very close run for that potential lead. But we can see there it will be Texas Doll who is going to be creating a new lobby very shortly. So we will be back in that new lobby very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back and we'll let you know what is happening in a short period of time. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we're back in the reformed lobby in build-up for race number 2. Now, we are wondering whether we're going to be seeing a break of some description, because there was on the schedule meant to be a 10-minute break between the 2 race rounds, but all our drivers are currently joining into the lobby here, so we'll wait and see what exactly happens, but it may be the case that we do go straight into qualifying, given the fact we're quite a way behind the schedule. But still a fantastic opening race for the proceedings, whereby we saw that big quandary of battling out on circuit, battling for position out on circuit versus battling in the pit lane. The GTV drivers seeming to really embody the concept of car management and fuel saving versus the all-in, all-push aspect to a good number of other drivers, such as the Prima Esports drivers. And then in between, we had the executive project driver of Peapox, who balanced that need for fuel saving versus pushing hard, and wasn't quite able to take on GTV's Polyphony because of pushing too hard on those left side tyres in the end. But it is the case. We'll look forward to seeing what's going to happen in race number 2. Now, race number 2 is going to be exactly the same as race number 1 in terms of the number of laps. The weather conditions are going to be similar. There may be a slight change in the wind. The difference will be in the build-up to the race. We're only going to have a 5-lap qualifying session, so there will be half the number of laps for our drivers to put in their ultimate qualifying lap, and that could lead to a shake-up of the grid, as we are just waiting right now for a confirmation as to what exactly is going to be happening. I think we are missing a driver as well. We are waiting to see when they will join. And as our drivers are getting ready to go once again, as soon as we do hear anything with regards to what is going to happen in terms of the break or no break, we will let you know. But in the meantime, we can see everybody being asked to log out there, and that is in preparation for qualifying. I think we are going to be going straight into the qualifying session as we do wait to go racing here. We can see it is the case that right now everybody just itching to go racing. Indeed, we're itching to see what's going to happen in qualifying, but we'll wait and find out. We do appreciate your patience. Of course, it does seem as though Gran Turismo 7 needing quite a bit of tender loving care in order to be up to the lobbies that we used to have in Gran Turismo Sport. But I'm sure that with time, that tender loving care will arrive, and then we will have the lobbies like of GT Sport with all the dedicated qualified sessions and whatnot. These issues will get ironed out. Well, we do hope so, and appreciate all the feedback that is going in, as we can see the request there being sent round to say for all of our drivers to log out, and they will then be required to log in for qualifying to kick off when they get the go command. But we are just waiting for 3 drivers to follow that requirement. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is the case that everybody now has logged out. So I think we may be going straight into qualifying. We're not going to try and spectate until things will go through fear of breaking the lobby. And we are at the hands of GTD's Texas Store, who is our lobby host. And we will wait and see what his orders will next be with regards to going racing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going straight into qualifying. It is 5 laps and stop. It is go, go, go for qualifying then. We're going straight into race number 2, and it will be this qualifying session first and foremost as all of our drivers take to the Tsukuba circuit once again here, and with only 5 laps, including the out lap, the pressure is now on to set the best possible lap here in qualifying, as we do see Peapox here, and all of our drivers will be doing some fuel burning here in order to be able to have the lightest possible car, and Peapox right now going around very slowly indeed, burning the fuel out of the car. Some other drivers deciding to, I think, get themselves out on circuit and get themselves quite a way around before they do the fuel burning. And of course, these little Alpines not having too much fuel in them with the what is the fuel depletion of ×9, and that will be a major factor here. But you can see Peapox really burning the fuel out of the car using the tried and tested technique, which is to hold the car in the lowest possible gear and bounce it off the rev limiter, which you couldn't do in a real world car because that would really heavily damage the engine. But of course, we can get away with it here in Gran Turismo 7 as they make their way on around. And meanwhile, we can see it, Prima gear tilt here coming roaring on through as well. And well, we see Bezzy using up a little bit more fuel already as our drivers make make their way around, but it will be to Aaron 25 to take us around for the opening flying lap of this second qualifying session as the Spaniard makes his way into turn number 1. Making his way under braking here, flying very nicely through, going down a second gear, a quick snap downshift before upshifting once again to settle the car, and now powering down to turn number 4 here, full throttle up towards turn 4, braking just after turn 3 into the turn 4 hairpin, coming all the way down the gearbox to second gear and powering out. Very smooth driving, although I say that as he gets on the power there, a lot of snap oversteer due to the camber of the road and the power being deployed, and as he makes his way through 5, a little bit unsettled there as he comes through 6 and 7, just building up that speed once again and rolling on down into the heavy braking zone that is turn number 8. Coming through the last of the hairpins here, and again a little bit of snap oversteer, that rear end just not settling for Arun as he makes his way down the back straight here, and that I think will explain somewhat why he's not been on the pace of some of the other drivers. But now coming down the back straight, making his way into turn number 9 here, down to 4th gear from 5th, holding it on the throttle there, just balancing the throttle and then getting it on the power when he feels it's the right time. And as he exits out the corner here, what will it be for Arun to set the pace? A 104.9, and immediately Texas Stall goes 1.2 seconds faster, and well, P. Ortega is the best part of 6/10 off of Texas Stall there as more laps are coming on in. Fishka goes provisional P3, now P4 with RTA's Skun here making his way into P3, but we see P-Pox there taking provisional pole for a brief period of time, and then 200ths faster is Prima Esports' gear tilt as they all come on through, and then it is Bezzy who takes provisional pole here with 2 laps down, 3 to go, and the Polishman on a 103.492. Well, he is delivering early here as the Polishman, and ERS are flying in his capable hands as he makes his way onto another lap. And really, he has been one of those drivers, as time has gone on, his pace has continued to improve here at Tsukuba, and he is showing a lot of promise as he makes his way down into turn number 4. Now, why could that be? Into turn number 5, I should say. Why could that be? Because we saw in the opening qualifying session before it was aborted that he wasn't quite there on the pace, and now he seems to have found that pace. Perhaps something has just clicked. Perhaps he's seen something out on the circuit or noticed that he should be using a particular gear for a particular corner, and that could be all the difference. But right now, he is 400ths faster than Prima Esports' Gear Tilt, who is on a personal best as they make their way through the final corner, and we'll wait to see what Gear Tilt can do. Coming out the final corner, here goes provisional pole then, a 103.475. Bezzy into the pits along with P-Pox as well. They're going to be serviced. They're going to put a fresh set of tyres on as they peel on in. The pit crew going to work here, just changing those tyres, and then he'll be immediately back out as they put another set of the Michelin Sports Soft compound on. And as he makes his way out here, well, he's going to have a lot less fuel compared to most because he did a bit of fuel burning on that opening out lap, and now making his way back up to speed. As we can see, they're struggling in this qualifying session right now, and a long way off his ideal pace is Superboy here in P9. But I say that, but to be fair, it's only 5/10 of a second from P9 to P1. That shows you how close this field is. Now that we've reduced the number of laps, everybody really on the ball here, and I think it could be the case that right now Superboy just feeling the pain of the fact it's a much closer qualifying session, which when it's this close, it can hurt massively. But I say that Texas Stoll has just taken provisional pole with a 103.249. He's now 7/10 clear of Superboy. We stay with the GTBE driver and see if they can improve at the end of this lap. They'll have one more lap after this, and well, they have not changed tyres over the session. They have decided to stay on those tyres. They are 4/10 faster than their previous best. The Superboy here has found some pace, and as they make their way through the final corner here, looking very stable, I must say, coming out of that final corner, crossing the line, and it is going to be a 130.7 in the end, a 2/10 improvement, but still a long way to go for Superboy. P8 at the moment, that's not where he wants to be, and we can see RTA's Skuns making his way down towards turn number 8 right now, and well, what can the Frenchman achieve in the time remaining as makes his way through that final corner? Texas Stoll provisional pole on that 103.249 as we said earlier, and Skuns right now pushing hard. What it is, he comes to the timing line for sector 2. It's not looking the fastest of laps right now. He crossed the line, he is down by half a tenth in sector 2, and as he makes his way through the final corner here, I don't think Skuns is going to improve in that much as he makes his way across that line using the runoff strip there. He does not improve, and well, who else is on a lap? Well, we see that P-Pox is making his way around towards the end here, and really he's the one, if anybody's going to improve and snatch pole position, it will be EXP's P-Pox with less fuel in the car. He's not improving here though in sector 2. I think P-Pox has pushed it too far as he makes his way through that final corner. I cannot see him finding a way to get up the order. And as he crosses the line, he improves to P5, and he snatches P5 from GTB's Pipo Ollie by only 3 thousandths of a second. My goodness. And well, who else we got out on circuit there? That is, unless I'm mistaken, I think that's Bezzy, who crosses the line and does not improve. So pole position to GTD's Texas Doyle, who will be joined on the front row by Prima Esports' Sportland. Prima Esports' Gear Tilt will start off row number 2 with ERS's Bezzy alongside, and it will be P-Pox in P5 for EXP, GTB's Pipo Ollie P6, and it'll be GT KRS representing for Racing Team Astra Skuns P7 with Ortega in P8, and it'll be Supermoy in P9 with KSR's Fishka in P10 alongside the GTB driver, and then it will be GT Spain's Arun 25 who lines up last but not least 1.3 seconds off of the pole lap. Now we are waiting for confirmation. I think we will be required to ready up once again. We are just waiting to see if the race procedure can go ahead. We're just going to check. Yep, we are required to log, so we're going to log on in our trusty Renault Clio. And now we are waiting to go racing. But of course, we won't be going racing in the Renault Clio, but it is the case that we are now waiting for the lobby to start. As we can see here, but of course we won't be going racing in this Renault Clio RS because it is not an eligible car, and also we've done no practice of the racing here. We're a commentator at the end of the day and your host and broadcaster, but we are just waiting to go racing now, and fingers crossed we shouldn't see any technical issues here. We can get away with magic as we do get the go there from what is Texas style, so that grid will be formed based on the lap times that have been set. We are just waiting now, ladies and gentlemen. We are only moments away. Oh, whoopsie poopsie. Show them in that little Clio indeed. Well, we're not going to be showing anybody. Okay, we are going to have to leave the room and then come back. We are working around these issues as rapidly as possible, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your patience here, and it is the case that things have been difficult tonight, but the racing is making up for more than the technical issues. Well, I do hope so, because it is the case that everybody absolutely itching to go racing, and hopefully we're not going to hold everybody up for much longer. Fingers crossed, this should not hold up proceedings. I think everyone is being required to essentially re-log their entry. We are just waiting out for these this last little bit of technical difficulty to be resolved here. I think we're all being told to unlog. Okay, so everybody has unlogged. I think we are being asked to take the clear out on circuit briefly. Apologies for this, ladies and gentlemen. It's been the official pace car for GTfusiOn 2022, the Renault Clio. Oh, goodness me. Well, they're all having fun. They're doing their best to see the positives out of this, and I do love that from our drivers. P-Fox giving us a little push around. Oh, dearie me. I think both of them do not like... Okay, we can't start the race. That's a bit of a difficulty. No Renault here. Oh, dearie. And I think we're being asked to leave the room again. I think we are in the race now, ladies and gentlemen. I think the race has started, unless I'm very much mistaken. So we're just going to pick up the pieces from where we've left off. Apologies for that. Yep, the race has started, and it is GTD's Texas Style who has gotten away as the leader here. I think we've literally come into the race. That's the only way they've been able to get the race to happen. So apologies, you've missed the race start, but we'll try and make up for it as we go. And we can see they're right at the back. We do have Arun there losing out, getting a bit pushed wide by Fishka, or pushed to the apex, as they all make their way down the back straight and up towards turn number 1. And as they all roll on through here, it is the case that Fishka looking for the move here up the inside of Racing Team Asher's Skuns as they come through the right-hander, but he can't find the move, and he has to back out instead. So after one lap, it is GTD's Texas Stall leading ahead of Prima Sportland there in P2, with Prima Gear Tilt in P3, then CXP's P-Box in P4, followed by ERS Bezzy P5, then GTV's P Poly P6, followed by GTV Supremo P7, followed by P Ortega from GT Spain P8, and then it is RTA Skuns P9, followed by Fishka from Kesadar in P10, and then GT Spain's Arun in P11, as we are on lap number 2 of 32 right now. Remember, same format as the opening race, just the difference is this time that they have had that extra wait time, and also the fact they had less time to qualify. But I think we've had to just go with a random order in the end, given the fact that we're having all those technical issues. And right now, the big question will be, who here will be trying to do fuel saving? Who here will push hard as they all make the way out to turn number 8 and down towards turn number 9 once again? Well, this time we haven't seen any major instance on the opening couple laps. Everybody seems to be a lot more settled this time around, and it may be the case that the Prima Esports drivers have decided to take a shot and tucking in behind Texas Doll and doing a load of fuel saving here as they make their way out of the final corner and onto lap number 3. Now Carmen's charging round and up into turn at number 1. Once again, you can see that Sportland immediately going on the offensive here as they make the way out. I think Sportland has just been waiting to get those tyres up to temperature, and now those Sports Hards are in the operating window. He will be looking for that move because he's starting to put that pressure onto Texas Doyle as he gets very close to the back of Doyle as they make the way out of the corner and up towards turn number 5. They make the way into the right hand here, and you can see where Sportland is taking that aggressive line. Texas Doyle gets a good run, to be fair though, out of 5 through 6 and 7. So Doyle's not out of this yet by any means, but Sportland looking very feisty in Sector 1 by comparison as they both roll their way out of the turn 8 hairpin and make the way down the back straight, and Doyle getting the better exit, although now in the slipstream Sportland is closing to an extent as they make the way down the back straight and on towards the end of this current lap. Now as they make the way on through, meanwhile a little bit further back, we were going to look further back, but I think Sportland here is going to be looking for a potential move in the run to 1 this time as they come to the end of the current lap. Sportland is the fastest of everybody out there on track at the moment as he rolls them through, but not by a major margin. And in fact, he has to wait once again here as he comes through 1. And Texas Doyle, of course, the driver who proved to be the biggest pain in the backside for Sportland in race number 1 when they both emerged from the pit lane. Sportland had to find a way through. He couldn't find a way through, and I do wonder whether Gear Tilt here from Prima Esports as well, whether he might be on the radio and the two drivers may swap places here for Gear Tilt to have a shot at trying to find his way past the GTD driver. But we'll have to wait and see. But Texas Doyle currently leads and is holding firm at the front of the field. P-Box there in P4 and really at the back of the leading pack here, with then there being a 1.8 second gap to P5 and the rest of the field, which is being led by ERS's Bezzy 02 as the Polishman makes his way through the turn 8 hairpin here. But looking good so far is Bezzy as he makes his way out, and P4 Ollie a second behind as they make the way down the back straight with Superboy from GTB, his teammate, tucked in behind here. And there is GT Spain's Ortega in P8 here, who is feeling a bit of pressure, I think, from Racing Team Asher Skuns as they make the way in towards turn number 9. Fishka and Arun falling away as per race number 1, but by no means will they not be battling for P10 come the end. As meanwhile we look back up towards our leader here, and Texas Doyle under that surmounting pressure as he makes his way down through 2-3 this time, and Sportland is there as they come through the corners. And as they do, roll through the left-hander at turn number 4, it is the case that it looks as though Sportland there looking quite strong and trying to find a way to get through. But again, Doyle doing well. But we look at the fuel usage already between these two, and you can see it is the case that Sportland are doing a lot more fuel saving compared to Texas Doyle. In fact, Texas Doyle almost down, well, he's down by about 5 to 7% already, if not more, as we see they make the way out the corner. In fact, that is about 7 to 8% of a gap in terms of the fuel delta, and then Gear Tilt saving even more fuel, an extra 1 to 2% versus his teammate. What about P-Box behind? P-Box fuel saving the most out of all of them here, so I think P-Box, he's trying to keep within the second of Gear Tilt and Sportland, but he will be doing the utmost to fuel save and try and jump the pair of them as they make their way into the pit lane. We're expecting those pit stops once again to be around laps 15 through to 17 as the drivers make their way on through. And as they come through the right-hander of 1 and down towards 2, 3, 4, again, we can see P-Fox on firm there, and Bezzy on a similar amount of fuel here, so Bezzy doing quite a bit of fuel saving, and this could work out in the long run for the Polishman, because behind him, Peepo and also Supermoy, both on much more fuel than anybody else. The GTVE drivers once again using that fuel saving strategy to try and gain time midway through the race. We'll wait to see if it works out for them, but they are breaking away from GT Spain's P. Ortega as they make their way through turns 5 up towards 8, and you can see Racing Team Asher Skuns here giving pursuit, but he's using a lot of fuel to do so as they come down in towards the final hairpin. Fishka versus Arun, with Fishka leading at the moment for Kesedal versus Arun in the battle for P10 as the two drivers make their way through the hairpin there of turn number 8. But we look back up towards our leaders right now, and you can see the traffic jam, we could almost liken it to, that Texas Door is now forming. With Sportland, they're getting a lot of oversteer, power oversteer on the exit of turn number 9. I think just clipping that exit curb and going onto the AstroTurf a little bit too aggressively. And as he makes his way out of turn number 1 now, I think Sportland's thinking to himself, well, my teammate's getting ever closer. Do I hold my teammate up, or do I go all in and try and find a way on through as they make the way down towards turn number 4? But as they come on through here, it is the case that Prima Sportland, as they roll through the left-hander, well, he's not going to find a way through this time. He's going to have to wait as they come through the right in turn 5, and through 6, 7, 8 they come. And as they roll down through the corners here, it is a situation where Sportland right now looking very strong is the Frenchman, but he's got to find a way through. And to be fair, if he doesn't find a way through, then Gear Tilt will, alternatively P-Box, as we right on board here with the Italian as he gives pursuit of the top 3 here. And to be fair, he's in a very privileged position here, is the executive project driver, because he can look to fuel save off of all 3 drivers. But meanwhile, we look back up towards the front, because I think it's now starting to kick off there. We saw Sportland get very close in the run through 9, but he got too close for comfort. He's had to back off, and his teammate now is right there with him. And I think the problem is, of course, when you're in that team dynamic, will Sportland, will he just give way to Gear Tilt if Gear Tilt thinks he can get it done? Or will he say back to the team bosses, no, I want this opportunity to take the lead. I think I can get it done. We'll have to wait and see. But as they roll through the left-hander here, you can see just how close they're all getting as they make their way up into turn number 5 here. And it is the case that Sportland, the fastest of everybody around circuit at the moment, he's pushing hard, and he's being held back by GTD Texas Doyle, who is just proving to be a defensive wall time and time again as they make their way through turn number 8 here, and where Gear Tilt and also EXP's P-Box here will just fuel save as much as they can, and they will wait to see as Texas Doll does go defensive into turn number 9 here. Texas Doll is not letting this go. He has track position. He knows he can hold off Sportland. He knows he can frustrate the Prime Esports driver, and he is doing his utmost to do so as they make their way out of the corner and down towards 1, and Sportland's going to swing to the inside here. Texas Doll tried to cover him off, but Sportland got there, and in the end Sportland finally makes the move for the lead, and Sportland has found a way to break down the Italian wall. And as they make their way through 2 and 3, this is critical for Sportland now. And now will we see a massive influx of drivers passing Texas Doyle? Well, Doyle will now go defensive versus Gear Tilt, and the Prima Esports driver has got to do what his teammate did only moments ago, and that is find a way through. Because every lap now he spends behind Texas Doyle, he will lose, I reckon, about 7/10 of a second versus Texas Doyle, if not more, as they make the way into the hairpin. But you can see Sportland has gone very deep, and that will enable Texas Doyle to tuck into the slipstream and gain an advantage as they make the way down the back straight. And as they come roaring on down this time around, you can see Gear Tilt going up into 7th gear here, going into the fuel saving gear, the top gear of the Alpine A110. And as they make the way through the right-hander, I think it may be the case that Gear Tilt is deciding not to push unless Texas Doyle really does start to go overly defensive, because you can see the gap to Sportland has opened up to 1 second as they make the way into the right-hander at turn 1. but he's not breaking away too rapidly here. And well, Sportland has not used as much fuel as Texas Doll, but he will now use quite a bit of fuel, I think, to try and break away from the Italian. He will not want Texas Doll coming back at him as they make the way into the turn 4 hairpin. Meanwhile, back in P5, and he is being closed by the GTB drivers of Oli and Supermoy. It is Bezio2, who for ERS right now is doing a good job here. And well, in terms of his fuel, he does have slightly less fuel than Ollie and also Supermoy, who are both working together to fuel save off of one another as they make the way down through turn 6, 7, and up into 8. And I do wonder whether the GTB drivers here are trying to put some pressure onto Bezzy to get him to use some more fuel, but also fuel save behind him at the same time. As meanwhile, GT Spain's P. Ortega here down in P8. He's holding off RTA Skuns for the time being, with Skuns down in P9, the Frenchman. And then we do have Fishka still ahead of Arun from GT Spain. That is the KSR driver of Fishka, who right now 9/10 clear and holding on to P10. As they make their way down the back straight here, making their way into turn 1 is the race leader, and you can see Sportland has already opened up that gap. As meanwhile, Prima Gear Tilt has made his way down the inside of Texas Doyle. We've only just caught the end of it, and P-Pox is coming on through, and Texas Doyle's going to try and hold the inside into 4. Doyle goes all the way in here, he pushes very deep, and you can see P-Pox goes to the cutback here, and Doyle does not want to lose more than one place at a time. And as they make their way out right now, P-Pox will be frustrated. He hasn't cleared Texas Doyle, and he's not early enough for him to potentially go for an undercut pit stop here, so he has to wait longer here, and this is absolutely frustrating for the XP driver as he looks at a move and he goes for it down the inside into turn 8. There's a little bit of contact there, and I think he's made it work, and Texas Doyle in the end has proven to be extremely resilient, as we do see that a flash of the hazard lights from P-Pox as they make the way down the back straight, and I think that is a flash of the hazard lights. I'm not sure what for, but it does look as though P-Pox has got it done in the end, and he's up into P3, unless Texas Doyle can find a way back in the run up towards turn 1. I don't think he can here, Texas Doyle, or can he? Looks the inside to try and intimidate P-Pox, but there's no way through. And at this point, P-Pox on what is about 45% fuel versus about 40% fuel for Gear Tilt, and even less fuel for Sportland. Sportland, ever since he's passed Texas Doyle, has started pushing here. I think this is going to open up the race quite considerably right now, given the fact that Sportland is just trying to run away with things. He'd like to make it one win apiece for Prima Esports, whereby both drivers pick up a win, but we'll Gil to have other ideas as they make the way through 6, 7 and up into 8. As they make their way down into the third hairpin this time around, you can see P-Pox, now that he is clear of Texas Doyle, he's got an advantage of half a second. He is pushing away here as they make their way down the back straight, and now it is Bezzy who in P5 here, the Polishman, well, he's 1.9 seconds off of Texas Doyle. He is doing a lot of fuel saving here, is Bezzy, as is Pipo Ollie and also Supermoy, and they're really battling for P5 here. I don't foresee that the GTV drivers can finish much higher than P5 given the fuel they've saved and the pace they're running. I could be wrong, to be fair, but I think right now they're running to the idea of finishing P5, P6 respectively as they make their way into turn number 1 once again. They flow on through, and as they make their way down through the right-hander of turn number 1, we can see Supermoy meanwhile tucked in behind, and well, where is P. Ortega? He's in P8 and he is the best part, 7.7 seconds of the top 7, and he has got RTA Skuns closing up gradually, but that gap is not really closing as such. It's more oscillating depending on where they are on the lap, with Skuns having a bit of a bad sector 1 this time around compared to Ortega, and right now the RTA driver I think is just focusing on delivering the lap times. Fishka meanwhile in P10 here for KZR. He has broken open the gap to Arun from GT Spain. He's opened it up to 2.1 seconds here as both drivers on very similar fuel making their way around and really battling for the last of the top 10 positions. But being on lap 13 right now, as we can see, it is the case that our race leaders coming to the end of lap 13, going on to lap 14 here, and Sportland continuing to try and run away with things. But now, as we see the lap times coming in, it is Gear Tilt, the other Premier Esports driver here, the winner of race 1, of course, who is now matching Sportland quite significantly, but at the same time, he's got a little bit more fuel to play with. We can see EXP's P-Pox by comparison, well, he is holding on to a bit more fuel, albeit he's broken away from Texas Doyle. He's got that gap up to 1.2 seconds, and as they make their way under braking into turn number 4, we can see it is the case that Texas Doyle here falling back into the clutches of Bezzy, P-Poly and Supermoy here. It's going to be a 4-way fight for P4, and I think it will be the case that the drivers behind will be hoping to catch up to him by the end of lap 15, if not lap 16, because then they can use the undercut, or they can just simply outrun him in the outrun him in the pit lane regards to the amount of fuel they put in the car, because you can see here Texas Store has only got about 15% fuel left. Meanwhile, ERS Bezzy has got about 24% fuel, and then GTV's Pipo Ollie 30% by comparison, with Supermoy on similar fuel, and that is the difference. That is the story. GTV have been fuel saving non-stop, whereas Bezzy's been doing quite a bit of fuel saving but not as much, and therefore that is where Bezzy is going to potentially lose out here. So it's coming to crunch time here for the Polishman, because right now he is tucked in behind Texas Store on lap number 15, and at this rate of closure, Bezzy has either got to find a way on through, or he's at major risk of being undercut by both Pipo Ollie and Supermoy in the pits as they make the way into the pit lane, most likely by the end of lap 16. But as they roll them through this time, we do know that Bezzy likes to go long. We saw him take a 17th lap on that opening stint to try and give himself track position, but it didn't quite work out last time. Will he dare to go for it once again here? We will have to wait and see as they make the way, charging down in towards turn number 8 here. And Texas Doyle, whatever we've got to say about him, he is proving to be a very good defensive driver here. He wasn't able to hold off Sportland in the end, or Prima Gear Tilt, and when Gear Tilt came on through, it was EXP's Peapox who found a way through as well. But our top three now have separated quite a bit, and it is the case that I think, as we see into the pits, they're both Pipo and also Supermoy here, and you can see both of them very similar fuel, literally separated by 1%. And well, as they come in a lap early here, they're going for track position. They know they can undercut these two. They know they can undercut for P5 and P4, and they are daring to go early, and I suspect we'll see the majority of our pit stops the next lap around. We'll wait to see how it plays out. They are the only two to come into the pit lane. Meanwhile, P-Box has fallen away from the Prima Esports drivers of Gear Tilt and Sportland. The gap opening up to 3.1 seconds from Gear Tilt, and a further 3 seconds on top of that to Sportland as they make the way around here on this lap. And Texas Doyle doing everything right so far, but it is the case. I think he's going to lose places, given that fuel is almost empty compared to Bezzy, who's got a lot more fuel and won't be in the pit lane as long. Now, where, I hear you ask, have our GTV drivers come out? Well, we can see here it is the case that Ortega has been passed by Skuns. That's happened off camera for P6. Sportland's into the pits, but where are the GTV drivers? They've come out the pits. People are only at 1.5 seconds ahead of GTV Supermoy, and now they're making the way on through. But as they come charging on through here, we do look to the pit lane, and we can see Texas Doyle in with the lightest fuel of everybody. Sportland almost matching him for fuel, in fact, as they both make the way in. Gear Tilt there on 9%, P-Box on 13%, the best of the drivers coming in on lap number 16. And as they all make the way in now, we will wait and see what happens as they put a fresh pair of sports soft tyres, sports hard tyres on, I should say. And as they service the car, the fuel gun goes on, and now they've got to put all the fuel in. As we also see Arun into the pits, and Will Fishka being serviced right now, as is Sportland. He's expected to come out in the lead of this race. We'll wait and see. He is waiting to be serviced right now. They're still putting the fuel in the car. We're waiting and waiting as we see people early coming past. This could be close here as the GTV drivers are coming through, and as they make their way through, it's going to be very close into turn one. EXP's P-Box has come out the pits ahead of everyone. People and Superboy going for the undercut, and also the short fueling. They've gained the places, and P-Box is now your race leader. Now this is unexpected. I did not foresee that P-Box would jump out ahead of everybody, but he's been able to find it, and he's got people putting a lot of pressure on, and the game is now on because Sportland and Gear Tilt have come out behind, and right now it's for P-Box to simply get himself up to speed, up to temperature, and run away. Because the problem is right now, we believe that P-Ollie and Supermoy have both got a little bit less pace overall compared to P-Box, and they definitely have versus Sportland and Gear Tilt who've gone for maximum fuel. Now, where is Bezzy by comparison, I hear you ask? He's down in P6, and he's a long way off, and Texas Doyle a further 6 seconds behind in P7. But right now, the man who's going to be absolutely pushing hard. Oh, goodness me! And we've missed it. It's happened on the back straight. But Pipo Ollie is now your race leader as the GTVE driver has taken the lead. I'm hearing him where he's overtaken P-Box in the run down towards turn 9 up the inside, and P-Box had no answer for it. And Pipo Ollie is now in the lead, and this is going to turn into a 5-way battle for the win. As they make their way down towards turn number 4, the problem is you do not want to be the driver in P3. Now, the reason for that, of course, is the fact that if you're in P3, you've got the Prima Esports pair of Sportland and GTfusiOn who will want to take that position off of you very quickly. And you can see already as we ride on board here with GTfusiOn in the train of cars, he's watching his teammate right now. They're all coming together. Superboy looking for the defence into the corner. He's going to go up the inside of his own teammate here as Sportland is boxed in. Superboy gets a little bit of snap oversteer and Prima's GTfusiOn takes the place, and well, his teammate backs off in the end, but they're all tripping over one another right now. It's fantastic racing here at Tsukuba as we see Superboy go for the move on the inside. He goes for P2 here and he's going to take it as Peepo is pushed out wide. P-Box is pushed out wide, and in doing so, GTfusiOn comes on through, and now P-Box is looking for the move here. They're all scrambling for P3, and as they make the way into turn number 1, GTfusiOn holds on to P3 for now, and P-Box will not be happy with that. He was made to go wide at turn 9, being on that outside line. He wants to come back at Superboy as much as possible, and now GTBE have to make an executive decision as Sportland goes up the inside of P-Box for P4. P-Box backs off here. I think he's expecting the Prima Esports drivers to do the hard work for him, but now the question is, can GTBE Superboy hold off Prima GTfusiOn to let his teammate P-Body run away with things? I think that would be the team order if team orders are being enacted, because they make their way through turn number 8 right now. He will need to do everything he can to hold the Prima drivers behind. You see he's already gone defensive, but it's a long run down this back straight, and GTfusion's going to go around the outside. Superboy keeps his nose in, but GTfusion gets the move done before the apex, and as they make the way through, GTfusion is now up into P2, and he will not let this go now. He will see P-Body only 9/10 up the road, and he will be saying, it's when, not if I can catch you, P-Body, I am coming. And the fact that GTfusiOn has had to push so hard to get this, he's got the fuel to do it, but this battle is absolutely intensifying. The strategies interweaving, and now GTfusiOn has only got one more drive to get through as we see Superboy here holding off Sportland for the time being as they all make the way through turn number 5 here. They all exit the left-hander here in quick succession. This battle will go down to the wire. It's the closest battle on circuit, and you love to see 5 drivers battling for the lead of the race as they make the way through. They're on lap 20. There are 13 laps to go, including this one. They've got plenty of time, and we'll have to wait to see how it's all settled in the end as they make the way out of turn number 8 once more. As they flow on out here, it is the case that right now the one driver who will be absolutely foaming at the mouth in frustration will be Sportland. He'll be asking, what do I have to do to lead a race? Because it just has not worked out for him here as he makes his way for the right-hander. He'll be looking to get past Superboy as soon as possible. He just does not seem to have that finesse compared to his teammate GTfusiOn to find a way through, and GTfusiOn right now is going hunting after the lead. To be fair, Prima will take the points, but Sportland will want to be P2 as a minimum. As a racing driver, you always want to be the best. You want to be the winner, but when it's your teammate who's going to win, you want to be P2 to show to the team that you're right there with them as they make the way through the left-hander of turn number 4 once again here. And as they flow on through here, Sportland doing everything he can. As they come up towards turn 5, it does look as though Sportland right now having to wait for that opportunity as EXP's P-Box here falling backwards and not close enough as they roll down towards turn number 9 as they come into the right hand here. It does look as though P-Box trying to do everything right as they flow through, but he's not able to. He's lost a lot of time after the contact, and we can see in the battle for the lead right now, Peepo having to do a little bit of weaving here as the GTBE driver weaving to break the toe as they make the way down the back straight and into the corner, and as they flow through turn number 9 here, I think Peabody will be feeling that pressure as they come out. They go on to lap 22. There's 11 laps remaining, and he goes defensive here. GTfusiOn forces him onto that tight line. Peabody will park the car in apex here, but GTfusiOn will be looking to come back as we can see Superboy there in a similar situation under a lot of pressure as all 4 drivers come on through. And this battling, of course, it's GTBE followed by Prima. There's GTBE followed by Prima once again, but this battling could bring EXP's P-Box back into the battling as they make their way through turn number 4. But I think if P-Box is going to get close, he's got to do a lot more than this. He's too far back to capitalise as they make their way through turn number 5. And as they come through 6-7 here, you can see GTfusiOn literally glued to the back of Peepo Ollie's car as they make the way into turn number 8. And GTfusiOn now will go deep here to get the best possible exit. And Superboy not able to cut on the inside there to cause a bit of disruption as they make the way down the back straight. They charge down here once again. And as they come down that back straight, Peepo Ollie has to go defensive into turn number 9. And GTfusion's going to try and go all the way around the outside. It's going to be careful, the marbles there, but he's got the grip and as they make the way out the corner, Gear Tilt is ahead by a nose. He pulls immediately across and parks it down onto the inside here, and I think Gear Tilt has got the move done, and GTB's Polyphony will have to settle for second for the time being unless Gear Tilt makes a mistake, because now Gear Tilt will literally put it to the maximum and try to break away. As they come roaring down into turn number 4 here, Gear Tilt round the outside there, a very bold move, but that is why he wants to win. He won race number 1, of course, and he wants to make it 2 out of 2 as they make the way through turn number 5, and now I think he will start to run off into the distance as he comes on through. And to be fair to GTBE, both drivers have done a superb job on the strategy and also the defending, but in the end I think Gear Tilt just had a little bit more in him to push round there. And now I think they'll be more focused on keeping Sportland at bay. They will know, based on the data they saw in race number 1, where they saw Sportland struggle to get past Texas Oil, that they can beat a thorn in Sportland's side. But Sportland has got some way to go yet. He's got to find his way past P3 Man Supermoy first before they can then find a way past Polyphony, and both of the GTBE drivers will do their utmost to hold on to those podium positions as they make the way onto lap number 24. Behind, meanwhile, we see P-Box here in P5, and he's falling away ever more here is the Italian. Now 2.2 seconds is the gap to the top 4, and I think he's holding on for P5 here. I think he's settling for being the best of the rest here outside of the top 4. We see Bezzy in P6 slowly closing up, and then Texas Oil is gradually closed up to Bezzy as well, but not a major rate of knots right now. And with 5 seconds between the two of them, Texas Oil is going to have to put in a lot of work to close that gap up. It's going to have to be somewhere in the region of at least 6/10 of a second a lap now to close that gap down, and I don't think he's got that pace. Ortega in P8 ahead of RTA's Skuns here in P9. The gap between both of them 4.6 seconds, and it's a further 7.6 seconds back to Fishker in P10, and then Arun from GT Spain in P11 there, last but not least. But meanwhile, we look back up towards the leaders here, and you can see as the top 4 make their way into the final corner once again. No change this time, other than that Gear Tilt is gradually breaking away as he makes his way out of that final corner and onto lap number 25. 8 laps to go here at Tsukuba for this final race of round number 1 for Group B. And well, Gear Tilt is running away with things, as we can see there. Superboy having a bit of difficulty now as Sportland all over the back of him. And as we ride on board here, Sportland's going to look out, inside to outside here as they make their way down into the corner. Oh, goodness me, there's contact between the two of them there as Sportland trying to go round there. Oh, goodness me! And Sportland gets on the power in frustration and turns the car. Now, he will argue that it was the case of contact there that upset the car, but I think in the end it was a bit of door rubbing. I think it'll be treated as a racing incident, and in the end Superboy just proving to find a way to defend and frustrate the Prima Esport driver, who has released P-Fox up into P4. Bezzy is now up into P5, and Prima Esports is Sportland now down to P6 and will need to go again. As they make the way down the back straight here, Sportland's got to bring it all together once more. Because right now, I think it is the case that has not worked out for him today, and he will be absolutely fuming at the fact he's just not had any luck compared to the drivers around him, and particularly his teammate, of course, who seems to be taking all of the spotlight as he makes his way across that timing line. And well, he has got the pace, to be fair, to get back ahead of Bezzy and P-Fox by the end of this. Will he have enough laps to do it? That is the question as he makes his way through turn number 1. And now, with that done and dusted, I think that's our biggest battle calmed down for the time being. But we will wait and see, because of course right now Bezzy will be aware of the fact that Sportland will be coming back with a revenge as they make their way around and through lap number 26. But as we look from Bezzy up to P-Fox here, P-Fox lapping in the high 104s. That last lap of 104.6 versus Superboy on a 105.0, but there was that contact into turn number 4, of course, and the fact that Superboy was going defensive into 1. But it would seem as though right now GTB have got the pace to finish on the podium comfortably here, albeit Gear Tilt just in a world of his own in that lead. He's not breaking away as rapidly as we perhaps suspected he would, but right now I think he's controlling the pace of this race with 6 laps to go as they go on to lap number 27. And it is the case that right now I think we are waiting to see whether any more major battles develop over the remainder of this race. But even if they don't, it has been a superb race so far, and now it's all about managing the car, managing those tired legs and arms, and keeping that concentration for the remainder of the distance. It's not long to go, but Superboy right now in P3, he will be happy with this, as will be GTV's Polyphony. They'll be very happy about the strategy has worked out, and the fact they've managed to get one of the Prima Esports drivers to drop it on circuit, and also the EXP driver P-Fox to fall off the pace. But in return, of course, People Ollie here will be hoping that he could get gear tilt to make a mistake, but he's too far back here with the Prima Esports driver. 1.5 seconds, and really it's at the realm of the racing gods here, and for Prima Esports' gear tilt to get something wrong as the time continues to tick down here. Not long to go as he makes his way into the final corner once again. 5 more laps to go when he comes around this time around, and Prima Esports' gear tilt looking to make it 2 out of 2 in terms of victories here today. As he makes his way on through, we do look back to P5 driver Eros Bezzi here, who is not quite closing on P-Box, and Sportland is not closing as rapidly as he may dare, as we see Bezzi setting a personal best there at 104.3, Sportland by comparison on 104.1. He is closing gradually, but not enough of a rate of knots to enable him to make a move towards the end of the race, unless Bezzi makes a huge error now. But we can see Texas Doyle there behind, not close enough either. He was 1.7 seconds behind when Sportland got himself back up to speed, but that gap has opened up to 2.3. So Texas Doyle right now too far back to really make anything happen here as the time continues to tick down. And as he makes his way into turn number 5, it does look as though Texas Doyle here settling for P7. That's not what he would have wanted, of course, given the start of the race, but I think in the end he used up too much fuel in trying to hold on to the lead, and that has cost him very dearly in the strategic stakes here today, and that's where he's lost out. As they make their way through, of course, this is new territory for all of our drivers with Gran Turismo 7, and the fact that the refueling rate in lobbies is so much lower now, fuel saving does seem to be a huge element. It was, to be fair, in 2021 in all 6 rounds the fuel saving element was key, but here it does look as though now it is to stay as our drivers make their way around. Of course, the fuel multiplier here has been quite an aggressive one, and it has hurt those drivers who are not as comfortable at saving fuel, but we'll have to wait and see in future rounds and, well, what will be at the combination. But right now the little Alpines have proven to give us some fantastic races here at Tsukuba. I think we'll all agree, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a great way to pay tribute to Esteban Ocon, the ambassador for GT Sport, also associated with Alpine, the French manufacturer, as our drivers race the Alpine A110s around the Japanese circuit with 4 laps to go, including the lap they're currently on. But we look back up towards the front here, and it is the case that right now Prima's gear tilt continuing to lead. 2.3 seconds is the gap. He's continuing to gradually eke out the gap, and as they make their way down and around right now, it is pointed out there by Conte Sky in the YouTube chat, and indeed many a spectator here cheering on for P-Box here. It is the case the EXP driver is inching closer to the back of Superboy in these final stages. The gap is now down to 1.5 seconds. If he can do it, he's going to have to really push to get close and then make the move on the final lap here. But say it's not so, it can happen. That last lap was a 105.0 for P-Box. Meanwhile, for Superboy, it was a 105.2. It does look as though P-Box has got a little bit left in the car as he makes his way through turn number 4. Can he do it? It's going to be a long way to go, and it's the same for Bezzi here. It's the case the ERS driver has a 1.3 second gap to previous Sportland behind, and Sportland is lapping very rapidly now. A 104.4 last time around for Bezzi. Meanwhile, a 103.9 for Sportland. Sportland has found that spark, and he's triggering it as they make their way down. There'll be 2 more laps after this one. I think Sportland's going to be there literally midway through the final lap, and the same for P-Box. If he can find a way down and around, it will be the case that it will have it right at the end of this race as they come charged on through. But will he find a way? We know that Superboy is quite defensive, and he was able to frustrate Sportland. Will he be able to frustrate P-Box as he makes his way through, or will he find the case that P-Box has just got too much at the end? We'll wait and see as they make their way down towards turn number 1, and as they roll into the right-hander here, well, it does look as though the Italian's not close enough this time around, as the gap holds at a second, but it will be in sector 2 where he closes up the most as they roll down into turn number 4. Now as they come on down here on the braking, it does look as though it is the case that sector 1 is equal between the two of them, but now as they come into sector 2, is this where the Italian can find a way through? We can see it's the same for Bezzi here. He's kept the gap at 1.2 seconds in sector 1. Will he be able to hold it through sector 2 as they make their way around on this penultimate lap? They come charging down into the right hand. Of course, fuel now light in the cars at their most nimblest, albeit there may be a concern for some drivers about have they got the fuel to make it to the end as they come on through. But it does look as though it's relatively even between them, although Sportland does had a better exit out of turn number 8 and gains 2.5 tenths there in the exit of turn 8 in the run towards turn number 9. P-Box meanwhile closed up to Superboy. They've gone on to the final lap. The leader's already on the final lap here, and well, Will we see a battle on that final lap? It's close, but I don't think we're going to see it unless it's right at the end, unless Superboy makes a mistake. And the same for Bezzy here. He's doing enough right now to keep Sportland at bay, but it's getting closer and closer as they make the way down towards turn number 4. And as they come rip-roaring down into that braking zone this time around, P-Box is chucking everything at Superboy to try and close the gap, to try and put the pressure on. He makes a little bit of a mistake there, a little bit of snap oversteer and exit. He gets the car settled, but he is pushing so hard right now. Literally, that car is dancing around through the corners as they make the way down into turn number 8. But we do have to look from them very briefly to our leader, because as he makes his way down the back straight here, he's had to do it through overtakes on circuit. He's very low on fuel, however, but I think he's got enough to go to the end. And as he makes his way through the final corner, it will be 2 out of 2 for Prime Esports' gear tilt from France. As he crosses the line, your winner in race 2. Second place will go to GTV's People Ollie as he spins it across the line, and it'll be Superboy who just holds off P-Box in the end for P3, the final spot on the podium. Bezzy comes home in P5 ahead of Prime Esports' Sportland, and it will be Texas Doll P7 in the GTD machine, and then it will be a 27.5-second gap to GT Spain's P. Ortega, who has got RTA's Skuns chasing after him here down the back straight. They're both critical on fuel. Ortega in particular, I think he's going to run out just on the line as they make the way through the right-hander. It's going to be very close here as the Spaniard comes on through, but I think he's just done enough to bring it home in P8 as he crosses the line in P8, does the Spaniard. And then it will be in P9, Skuns there for Racing Team Astra as he runs out of fuel at the finish line. KS Sedars Fishka in P10, the Czech Republic driver. And then last but not least will be GT Spain's Aaron 25 as he comes around the final corner here. It's been a difficult day for the Spaniard, but he still brought it home in both races. A great drive from him as he crosses the line. My goodness, what a fantastic race. But congratulations to all of our drivers, and a special congratulations to our back-to-back race winner, Prima Gear Tilt from France for Prime Esports. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to the racing. And well, it has been a very difficult evening with regards to getting all the races to go ahead as planned. But in the end, we have had some fantastic racing action, albeit it has taken quite some time. But great racing all around, and well, I think we'll all agree it has set quite a tempo for what is the GTfusion 2022 Team World Championship here on Gran Turismo 7. Hopefully some of those lobby issues can be resolved over the course of the coming weeks in preparation for round 2. But great racing all the way through, and Prime Esports in the end taking home 2 wins back to back. But a little bit of frustration for their second driver of Sportland in the lobby, because it has not worked out for him as much. And well, we do not seem to be able to save the replay here, which is a bit unfortunate, as is the case that our drivers will be asked to do so. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And if you do want to know more about GTfusion in terms of the organisation, or what the organisation does outside the championships or the championship itself, or whether you've got a team that's looking to take part, be sure to check out GTfusion at their website. That's gtfusion.org. Alternatively, feel free to check us out at our official Twitter. That is twitter.com/GTfusionGT. Or last but not least, if you're a Facebook user, you can take a look at our official Facebook page. That is facebook.com/GTfusion.eu. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now have to say a goodbye in preparation for next time, round number 2, based on the current schedule, subject to, of course, all the clarification and rectification of the GT7 lobbies. Will be running from Friday the 13th of May through to Sunday the 15th of May 2022. The combination and the track will be announced in 2 weeks' time approximately, so we'll have to wait until then for more information. But we will be back then. I'll be back in the commentary box, as I understand it, for what will be Group B once again, the second split. But until then, thank you very much for tuning in. We have been GTfusion. I have been your host, broadcaster and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain a Spit. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.